Ladies and gentlemen, we are back in the studio. Huh? Nice. Honey, say hello to the nice
Oh,
folks.
hi, nice folks.
She, she's so used to the camera guys telling her what to do outside at our
Yeah.
new segment called Backyard Cocktails. Hope you all have been able to see those on Instagram, Facebook, and wherever
YouTubes.
The YouTubes, yeah. So anyway, folks, tonight we have a special guest. This gentleman is he is involved with the Tequila Aficionado. He is a master Catador, which he will tell you all about. He's going to tell us the nuts and bolts about the tequila industry. This guy knows way more than I ever thought of knowing. God bless his soul. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Michael Morales.
Hey! Thank
Michael,
you.
the studio audience loves you.
Thank you. I remember it was a pleasure for you to see me.
Oh, yes. Yes.
So, how are you folks today?
We are awesome.
We are wonderful.
It's nice and sunny here in upstate New York. It was like 75-ish, I think.
Yeah.
I used to have family in upstate. You mentioned Syracuse off camera, and Syracuse is a very special soft spot in my heart, as well as Skinny Atlas.
Oh, yes.
Skinny Atlas. Love Skinny Atlas.
Yeah.
So
they have great wineries up there.
Yes.
We love it.
Yeah. New York State is one of the greatest producers of Riesling, and they have some awesome Pinot Noir. I've been trained over the years to taste some of these wines, and there are some unbelievable, really truly great wines and great people from our Finger Lakes region. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Well, good.
We love them.
You and I have to go wine hopping.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm coming.
Before things go sideways, right?
Yeah, she's the wine lady, so she definitely will be going.
You can just drop me off, pick me up at the end of the day.
We'll never see her again.
Well, I love the content you guys are producing. I love watching your backyard cocktails that you're making on it. If you folks, by the way, if you folks are not following them on Instagram, you need to go follow them.
Oh, thanks, Mike. We appreciate that.
Sweet. Thank you.
They're fun to watch. You know that, and what I like is I'm not a big cocktail guy.
Okay.
To be truthful, most of our tasters are.
Right.
But for me, I drink. If I drink tequila or mezcal or any agave spirit, it's neat.
Okay.
But I like the fact that your cocktails are not very complicated. Anybody can make them. They're actually quite simple to make, which is we're coming out of a pandemic slowly, and
who knows? They're saying there's more stuff coming, but whatever. But that was one of our goals, Michael. As when we started doing the show, I said, we're obviously locked down, so we need to do stuff that people have in their house. Yeah. So we try to do as many cocktails and as many classic stuff as were available to us. People have vermouth, people have your whiskeys and your vodkas and stuff. But the one thing that I will say, and I'm sure you will agree, that the pandemic really brought out was tequila.
Yeah,
tequila is huge right now.
Exploded during the pandemic, and I love that because it's such an artisanal spirit, like the stuff that we're going to talk about tonight, and the questions I'm going to ask you about it. People don't understand that. I think some people don't understand that. If you and I had a vodka company, we can make a run of vodka and have it ready for the weekend. But tequila, the pinas or the agave plants, they have to mature 7 to 10 and sometimes longer due to how they grow. And it's a major agricultural product, and you're at the mercy of Mother Earth. So it's not like they can just, we sold a bunch of that, let's turn the faucet back on. That doesn't happen like that.
Well, let me just burst your bubble just a little bit.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Okay. Darn it.
Well, I mean, no. Generally speaking, a good handcrafted spirit like tequila is done that way.
Okay.
But the reason that there was such an explosion of the tequila category during the pandemic was, one, I think people were mishandling it. The consumer was misusing it. I mean, they were frustrated. They couldn't go to work. They had to be at home with themselves, and they were trying to numb out. And there was a lot of, there's a lot of mental health issues with a lot of people that aren't used to, I'm used to working at home. So myself and our business partner, Lisa Peach, who handles all of our publications. And by the way, thanks for having the magazine up there.
Nice, huh?
That's beautiful. That's our June issue.
Yes.
That's right. So is this something that you can subscribe to?
Yes.
Where you get the actual book in the mail or online, correct?
Well, here's the way it works. Subscribing is free.
Okay.
You can download the Kindle version or PDF version. All of our subscribers get that for free. Now, if you want the hard copy, you want to hold it in your hands, which is basically Instagram in your hand. Yep. And I love glossy magazines.
Yeah,
yep.
Everything is published through Amazon. All of our books, all of our courses, all of our magazines. So anybody can, if there's a special issue you enjoyed, you can order it right there from Amazon. They'll get it to you, and it's always beautiful. You can see the cover on there, and
that's a gorgeous magazine.
Yeah,
really
this is a really, really
it's
nice.
It's very
magazine.
well done.
Very well done.
Thank you. Lisa Peach, our managing partner on the East Coast, handles all of our publishing and books, and that's her background. She comes from a publishing background, so she does a bang up job. And we do a lot of the content and interviews, and we have everything but a centerfold, and we're thinking of asking you, Matt, for be the first centerfold.
You'd have to do a centerfold to get my head in there.
Well, we were getting back to the pandemic and what had happened. The magazine grew during the pandemic. Everything that people could do to consume information.
Right.
Okay. But what happened was that there was such a demand for tequila, and even prior to the pandemic, because even prior to the last couple of years, the tequila industry was climbing and climbing and climbing. And there's a lot of mainstream brands, and we're all familiar with their names. In fact, I know you work for a distributor, so you probably carry a lot of those mainstreams. And there was a lot of demand for those. The problem is that the majority of those mainstreams, whether they admit to it or not, are made with they take shortcuts. Okay. What happened also during the pandemic is there was a big awareness of these shortcuts.
Okay.
One of those is the way that the agave is processed. One of those is the way that agave is grown. One of those is there's a big campaign or an initiative against additives that are placed in your tequila. What a lot of people who are consuming the mainstream tequilas, what they're not aware is they think that all these tequilas are going to taste so sweet and tasty, and they're going to smell like, perfume, and that's not really how real tequila tastes, or smells. Now, on the flip side, those are great gateway tequilas, because how many times you run into customers and people and clients and just friends who come from whiskeys and bourbons and vodkas, and they'll ask you they probably how many times have your friends or customers asked you, Matt, what's the big deal about tequila? What? And you go, you know what? The best thing to do is to sample. Here, try this.
Right.
See if you like it. And that's how the category has been growing, because it's taking consumers from other categories who are exploring. Okay. And that, that's a good thing.
Right.
Again, like everything else, it's got a flip side. The bad part is, I don't feel, and a lot of people in my circle, whether they're purists or scientists, botanists, academics, we don't feel that is a sustainable option for the tequila industry.
Right.
Because what people should know, all blue agave tequila can only be made from one plant. Even though there's like 200 different varieties of agave, and about 220 or 30 of those grow right in Mexico, probably more than that now. But only blue agave in 5 different states can be used to make tequila. And the only way to produce it is by cloning. In other words, if you live in California, you live in Texas, wherever you're watching this show, you see a lot of agave. We use it, as ground cover. It's ornamental. You can go to a nursery and get yourself a beautiful blue, espadín or whatever variety.
Mezcal.
Yeah, and you could have it planted in your front yard, And in Texas, they grow all over the place. Right. I was living in Texas 8 years prior. So anyway, the thing is, when you have these plants, you'll notice that somewhere in the lifespan, it starts to produce what we call pups, or in Spanish, they're called hijuelos. And those are dug up and they're placed in a nursery. Okay. And genetically speaking, they are the closest thing to the mother plant. So when they harvest the mother plant, they stick the babies back, usually in the same spot.
No kidding. I did not know that.
Really?
Well, what happens with that, though, is that there's no genetic diversity. And so the plant itself, the blue agave, the strain becomes weakened, or the variety becomes weakened, and it doesn't get a chance to strengthen itself, and it becomes more susceptible to disease.
Oh boy!
Which in this case is like a worm. It's a weevil. Cold snaps. Right before 2 years before the pandemic, there was a big snowstorm in Arandas.
Yeah,
you may have seen the pictures of the agave fields covered in snow, and yeah, it's beautiful. But a lot of people who weren't growing their own agave lost a lot of agave. It got burned out.
That's sad.
And so, that's the thing with this plant. It's really delicate, and the people who are agave growers who are also making tequila are going to be in a good spot because primarily they're agave growers.
Right.
And so they produce
farmers first.
Right. They're farmers first.
Right.
And they produce their tequila to highlight the plant.
Right.
Okay. And those are the brands that people have been seeking out. That's the other part of the great part of the pandemic is people started seeking out those quality brands because the mainstream wasn't doing it for them. Okay. So that's when they start to see, I'm going to mention some brands just off the top of my head.
That's
El Tesoro de Don Felipe, El Tesoro, Tapatio, which is the stablemate. You got G4, Terralta from the brother. This is coming from there's a family that first settled the area of what considered as the highlands of Jalisco.
Okay.
And that town is called Arandas. And one of the founding families of Arandas is the Camarena family. And there are 3 offshoots of that family. All 3 of them are producing tequila in their own way.
Okay.
But they're all agave growers. And so people start, they're doing their due diligence. They're trying to figure out who's the grower. Where's this coming from? How is he making it? And I love that because this is the beginning of our 23rd year at Tequila Aficionado. And
congratulations.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Congratulations.
So Mike, it's a lot like wine in the fact that the soil plays a tremendous part of what the agave flavor profile would be, as well as the master distiller would be like the winemaker in the fact that if they don't know what they're doing, you could have a great plant and a great field giving you great flavors, and you could be screwing it up because you may not know. You know what I mean? So it makes a difference because, like with like Napa Valley, as small as it is, there's 2 properties separated by one fence. One property sells their Cabernets for $230 a bottle, and the other guy's selling theirs for $50. The difference is the winemaker. Yeah,
and in fact, that notion is actually even truer with mezcal.
Okay.
Because of the microclimates do make a difference, and when people start to venture into mezcal, they'll understand that it's very much like the wine regions.
Right.
It's very much like Australia. Napa, Sonoma. I mean, the Napa and Sonoma people are they're very
Very different people.
competitive.
Yeah.
If you don't know the regions and you mention one by mistake, the other one's going to correct you.
Yeah, in a hurry.
Even the Finger Lakes area. I was amazed at the quality and the the terroir and the way they were making it, because I'm not much of a wine guy.
Right.
But I always appreciate quality, and especially having done these tastings for 23 years
Yeah.
and tasted, hundreds, if not thousands of brands that have either come and gone or come back. You get a real good appreciation for quality. You can pick it out, and you can also, by the same token, pick out what's been phoned in.
Yeah.
Slap a label on it. Yeah, and
Slap a label on it and get a celebrity to endorse it.
So
yeah, whoever, whatever,
I'm sorry.
celebrity
Please
Please
couture.
don't get me fired. No,
So
Yeah.
my question would be is for a novice like myself, since we mentioned mezcal, what would be the difference between tequila and mezcal? What is the difference? Because
Okay.
I don't know the difference.
The difference is one, of course, tequila, like I said, has those 5 growing regions, which within those growing regions they have municipalities that are allowed to grow and distill. Okay.
Okay.
Mezcal, on the other hand, is primarily out of Oaxaca. However, there are 7 other states that I believe it's 9 now that are allowed to produce mezcal from several different other plants.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
When I say plants, I mean agave.
Agave.
Okay.
Right.
Because there are.
Tequila is strictly blue agave.
That's it.
Now, is
Okay.
it Weber Blue Agave or is it
Blue. It's blue Weber agave, or Weber blue agave.
Okay.
It's
So
whoever you're look it up on Instagram. On Google, and it'll take
Okay.
you right
Yeah.
to where the actual name.
so those pinas are usually pretty large by the time they're mature.
Yeah, they're huge.
Well, it depends. It depends on what we're talking about. Are you talking about the mezcal?
So the Weber Blue Agave is usually pretty
Okay.
large.
Well,
so some of the
okay. Again,
Okay.
size doesn't matter when it comes to blue agave.
okay.
It used to matter.
Okay.
Okay.
And back in the day, it used to matter. You see,
So it's all about bricks then.
those huge pinas. What happens is, I say, and we know this, that the tequila industry is one of the highest regulated spirits in the world.
Okay.
They got rules and regs like nobody's business. However, they also have a vast majority of loopholes. Like, for instance, it used to be, the average, that story about the average being 7, 8, 9, 10 years of growth, that doesn't happen anymore. Okay. The notion that the agave pina has to have, it's measured by its bricks, which is the
Right.
sugar content. Okay.
Right.
They take
Okay.
I forget what the name of the
Hygrometer.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And out in the fields, they'll take a field, a certain farm, or what they call in Spanish a huerta, and
Okay.
they'll test several different ones. Depending on the distiller, on the agave grower, he won't harvest anything probably until it hits 24 bricks.
Okay.
Okay, now the agave is like people. They grow, some of them are late bloomers, some of them grow quicker. So the size doesn't matter anymore. What matters is the amount of sugars in that.
Pina.
So
So how do you test for the bricks? So that, I guess, how do you know? Like, do you taste it or do you?
No, they have a tool that they use.
So what they do is
Okay.
Yeah, they stick that tool in, and it tells you
refracts
refractometer. That's it.
Yeah, it reflects the light and it
Yes.
tells you what the sugar level is. So you hold it up to the sun and the liquid is inside and it'll tell you. I've seen it done in Napa.
Yeah, it's the same exact. It's almost the same exact tool.
Yeah.
And so
Really?
when
And they'll check each agave, or they'll check
Portions.
each.
they'll check a certain amount,
Okay.
They're all consistently going like 23.5, 24, 27 and a
Okay.
half.
Okay.
They're going to go, okay, let's harvest this right now.
Right.
Okay. I
And
don't mean to
so-
interrupt you, but this is just so interesting.
no,
It's a lot
please.
to take in, so I'm trying to ask the questions
Well,
that are coming up.
that's the thing. There's so much to tequila.
It's so interesting.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
when,
so go
when you
ahead,
were talking
sorry.
about size, it doesn't. So in other words, they will harvest that field, but even though maybe the plant's only 5 years old, maybe this one's 6 years old, maybe that one's, maybe those 7-year-olds are not ready yet.
Right.
Okay.
So that story, that story we've been repeating since 2001,
Forever. Yeah.
forever,
Yeah.
is going to change. You know, and so size doesn't matter.
Okay.
If you look at some of those pictures on Instagram, some of the harvesting pictures from any brand that's out there, you'll see different sizes of agaves. Some of them are huge. Okay.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. Some of them are about 5 years old, 6. You know, there's some guys, some farmers are still doing it right.
Right.
And others are coming in smaller, you know, but
Right.
maybe the amount of sugars is where it needs to be for that brand and that distiller, and said, you know, these are good enough. Let's just keep them. You know, so
that's so cool.
When you see the harvesting of mezcal, that's a whole other animal. It's a whole other subject matter. That's more rustic. It's more out. It's more out in the fields and in the hills. These hard to reach places where they have different microclimates. Right. So to your point about Napa and Sonoma, it really becomes even more noticeable among mezcal from different plants than it has been in tequila. And that's why we decided, Lisa and myself decided to come up with the Consumer Catador course. Right. Because we felt, and this was prior to the pandemic, we felt about 2017, we started writing this book. And right before the pandemic, we finished it. It took us about 2 years to put it together. And the reason for it was, we thought that tequila tasting was becoming a lost art.
Okay, yeah.
Because the mainstream brands that dominate the market have these cookie cutter flavor profiles. Okay? And they were telling the general public what we wanted. Right. You want something sweet? I got it for you. You want a movie star in front of it? I got him for you too. Or her.
Right.
And so we're getting what some of the master distillers that I know, and some of the really legitimate brand owners say these are microwave tequilas. You know, you just heat them up, serve them. You know, and again, they're great gateways.
Sure.
But you know, there's nothing like home cooking versus a banquet dinner, a Swanson banquet dinner, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, sometimes you want that meatloaf or Salisbury steak.
No, we don't. We don't. I don't want that ever.
So you know, and you live in an area. You know, do you want something a beautiful wine made in the Finger Lakes, or do you want Gallo?
Yeah,
depends on how you feel, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And Gallo did great for the jug wine business.
Oh my God,
that's where it just exploded, right?
Sure.
Well, it's the same thing with tequila. It's the same pattern repeating itself.
Right. So it's not unlike the wine industry in the fact that there are fantastic producers, and then there's the Franzias.
Yeah.
You know, the box wines. Yeah.
And both serve a purpose. It's just where do you want to lean toward?
Right.
And so for us, when we came up with the Consumer Catador course, it was because we thought that the mainstream brands were tequila tasting was, again, becoming a lost art. How do you do it? You know, and even for us, when we started, it was myself and the founder of the website, Alex Perez.
Right.
And it was just us two doing tastings together. And I like to say that we grew up with the tequila industry and the internet. Okay. Right. So first of all, we started with audio. That's all we had. Alex was a big podcaster, you know, and I had some radio. I had good radio experience when I lived in Albuquerque. I lived there for 18 years. So I used to be a smooth jazz DJ.
Oh, nice.
So I said to him, the last thing you want to do is put a microphone in front of me, man, because I'll never shut up.
Me too.
I know. She can't stop singing.
Yeah, you know, and I love that time of my life. But then, then dial-up came along, and then video apps that would allow us to record. You either paid for them or you got them for free. And that was before YouTube, and then YouTube showed up, and we, so now look at where we are now.
Right.
So, and we've kind of grown up with all of that. And now we're back, to square one, because not only are we on video, but you can listen to us on the podcast. You can catch us on same ones that you're on, Spotify, iTunes, and we're on Amazon Music now.
Right.
So you can listen to us. So it's kind of like listening to a baseball simulcast. You kind of walk that thin line of too much description and not enough description. So,
right.
But so we saw a change in the industry happening. First, it was every 10 years, but then it's happening faster and faster and faster. And we said we were on the road one year doing special events, Lisa and I, and we were here in Southern California, as a matter of fact. A father-daughter team came up to us and said, "Mike, why are there no tequila tasting schools in the United States?" And I knew a lot about the back history of that, which I go into in the book.
Right.
There was a lot of infighting, a lot of politics, Mexican politics, among the schools. There's only 2 schools that don't get along with each other, and you can read up all on the back history of that. And I was also aware that a couple of times during the original school, when it was founded, that they were going to open United States branches of the academy, first in Texas, that fell through, and then in Southern California towards San Diego, which also fell through.
Okay.
So, and I knew the people, the Catadores, who were going to be the heads of those branches. And I said to Lisa, I said, we need to fill that gap, because there's a mystery behind it. The only way you could be a certified Catador is to, 1, make a trip to Mexico, and 2, you need to shell out some money, stay someplace, take the level 1 course, which is in Spanish, and then if you pass, great, you go home, whatever, and then you come back for level 2. You know what I mean? It's very much like WSET, the one certification, the sommelier certification.
Yeah, I'm certified level 2.
Level 2. One of our tasters is a level 2 and a bourbon steward.
Oh wow!
In fact, he was taking this course the same time he was taking his WSET for level 2, and I go, "You're crazy, man! What are you doing both for? What are you doing this for? And the level of people that have taken this course amazes me.
Yeah,
because
I downloaded it, and I'm going to be taking it. And
good.
So, Mike, can you briefly just tell people what a catador really is?
A catador is a sommelier. It's the Spanish word for tequila taster. Now, let me preface this by telling you, we are not affiliated by any of the schools.
Okay.
We are not. All of my teachers have been our certified catadores. I continue to learn. These techniques that are shared here are not only techniques that are taught in the schools. They're taught by the master distillers themselves. They are taught by chemical engineers who I revere.
Love that.
And academics as well. When you look at the back of the book, it's not just all experience. A lot of this stuff, we give information about where you can read up more on the plant itself and who to follow, which scientist.
Right.
And we've had some wonderful reviews, even from a chemical engineer in Kentucky. He looked at the back of our book and found a wealth of information. What happened is we wanted to make it as easy for the consumer to follow. If you wanted to go deep dive, you could.
Right.
But if you just wanted to do a little superficial, kind of skip around, you could. But here's the kicker: if you're going to take the course and you get a certification of completion from us, from Tequila Aficionado, you turn in homework and you turn it into me.
Oh,
so
cool.
you're working with me.
So you're the tequila sensei.
So how
That's
do
it.
people,
I'm
how do
the
people
person.
get this book and get started and
Right
all
on
of that?
Amazon.
The website tequilaaficionado.com. Go there.
Okay.
And look at our books and libraries and or you can find us on Amazon. You can go directly to Amazon.
Yeah.
Put
We
in
have some great friends that I know would be extremely interested in this.
Yeah,
you know, it's so gratifying to work with these people who are sending in their homework, and it's self-paced. Okay, so I'm not going to be breathing down your neck. Where's your homework? You know, we've got people that have taken a year. They've taken, you know, they've had life gets in the way, right? Some things happen, and then just this summer, we've gotten a couple of the students have re-upped and come back and say, "Look, Mike, this is hey, dude, I get it. You know,
sure.
I'm so fortunate, very happy that we just recently graduated our first female catadora.
Oh, beautiful.
I am so jazzed because we need more women in this business.
And women are the better tasters, really.
Yes. It's well known that women have sharper senses when it comes to taste, smell.
That's right, everybody.
Yeah. You know, and so you know, like I said, it all stemmed from one question from a father-daughter. They flew out from New York, believe it or not, to go to this event.
That's cool.
And you know, and this was something that they did together because it was a, you know, daughter-daddy time, you know, and I love that. I think
cool.
That is, it brings people together. It brings friends together. You know, it introduces you to a much wider audience.
Right.
And we took, and again, we stripped the veil away from all the mystery and the hoity-toity and, you know, the nose in the air, and not everybody's a connoisseur.
Right.
You know, I like to say I'm a connoisseur without the kana. You know, so,
well, I mean, look at what was going on between the two of us as far as like, so I was giving you my industry blah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That I've been taught through suppliers or whatever, and it's not necessary. I mean, it's somewhat true, but it's not necessarily the whole truth and nothing but the truth. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you.
We don't pull any punches in this. You know, I tell people, be prepared. If you're expecting one thing, your bubbles will be burst.
And listen,
you know,
is it okay? Is it okay that I nickname myself El Tejona?
You can call yourself anything you want, bro. I tell you.
I call them lots of things.
Yeah. You know, just don't call me "Hey you."
Yes.
You know, whatever. Again, I use the word catador, but I could be anything. You know, tequila taster. I've been called in the last 23 years. We've been called everything from blogger, vlogger, tequila journalist, you know, influencer. I'm not any of those things.
Right.
What I've always been from day one, I've been an educator.
Yeah.
And the people that know me in this industry have known that I've been screaming up and down about teach your people well.
Yes.
Yep.
I love that. I love that.
And the thing that's going on right now, we see now with the explosion of social media. Look what happened in the last couple of years. You know, everybody was making videos, and you know, even Stanley Tucci was making cocktails at home.
Yeah.
Right? So, and I love Stanley. He's one of the greatest. He's an American treasure, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, he really is.
And he makes a mean martini. But you know, anyway, but everybody's doing it, and the problem is that there are people who are not so qualified to teach their followers about tequila.
Right.
And then you have other influencers on other platforms who are berating, you know, the next celebrity tequila, and they're calling out names and cultural appropriation, and they're just making all these. They're just shooting from the hip without knowing what they're talking about,
Right.
And then I sometimes call it the lemming effect. You know, somebody jumps off the cliff, and the rest of the crew just jumps off the cliff too.
Yeah.
You gotta. What I was hoping for when we did this book was that you could do it superficially. Yeah, you don't have to go deep dive. You don't have to read all the books and the politics behind it. But if you do, you're gonna really, really get the backstory So the stuff that you won't get, even if you go to the academies, they're not going to tell you that stuff
Right.
because the academies were started. The first one was started again in 2001. Which what happened was in 2001 was when the tequila industry wanted to upgrade, up level its image. Okay.
Yep.
And from a shooter to a sipper. That's when they commissioned this. This is the Riedel Tequila Glass by the Riedel Glass Company. You've seen these, right, Matt?
Yeah.
You've seen it. I think they're still readily available.
Okay.
You should be able to buy them commercially at Total Wines or somewhere. I bought a bunch of these years ago online on Amazon. Because
I've never seen one.
Yeah, I got to get one. A couple.
It's
of those.
very. You can see it. It's very easy to handle. It was beautiful because as a taster, you could handle it like a wine glass.
Right.
It was at the time. Now remember, this was in the early 2000s. Quality of tequila was better then than it is now. Okay. So you could look at it. You could judge it. There are three elements you judge tequila with.
Okay.
One is sight. Okay.
Yep.
So you look at the legs and tier. As a matter of fact, here, let me help you. I'm going to pour myself.
Should we go as well?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Okay.
This is your show.
Yeah. So we're going to try this. One of our people who watch our show consistently said, "Have you ever had?" Well, how do I say that?
Código.
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 Okay. Código.
Código.
From our friend George Strait, which I like George.
Código.
George is King George. We used to call him in San Antonio. You don't say a bad thing about him, but I got to tell you what, the song that goes with Código sucked.
I heard it.
He called it in. It was the worst tequila song of like 2019 or something like that.
It'll get stuck in your head and it's
Oh, it was bad. Oh, it was awful. You know, when the man writes these beautiful lyrics, and you know, I am such a big fan.
Yes.
But that song, get rid of it. Not good. Sorry, George. You blew it.
George. Hey, listen, I'm pretty sure he's not in our demographic, so I think we're safe. So we have our Glencairns.
And Glencairns is another great glass for it. In fact, it's even better than this.
Okay.
But for display purposes, let me just explain very quickly.
Sure.
Three elements you look at. Number one, you want to look at sight. Even if you're looking at a Blanco, which has no color.
Right.
Okay.
That's what we have.
You swirl it around.
Okay.
Okay. And then you can hold it by the stem. I like to hold it by the foot because you don't need to pour a whole lot. And then you look, I don't know if you can see that on my camera, but you look for legs and tears.
Okay.
Okay. You look for that's what we call them. Sometimes they call them a string of pearls. And then you watch how slowly or how quickly it streams back into your liquid. Okay.
Okay.
And now, the reason you're looking at that is because that will give you, it's not a good indication of quality, but it's a good indicator of what it's going to feel like in your mouth.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. The next thing you want to do is you want to smell. Now, here's the thing. Depending on who you're talking to, you will either, which science book you listen to or read, the sense of taste is closely connected to your sense of smell.
Correct.
You can literally taste something before you ingest it.
Yep.
So I recommend that you open your mouth a little bit and inhale and go both sides. Left brain, right brain.
Oh, I like that. Oh, there is a difference. Holy cow, there is a difference.
Yeah. Sometimes, you're going to be left or there's always a dominant side of your mouth. And what happens is one side will pick up more subtle notes than the other side. Do not, and I've seen this taught on Instagram, do not plug your nose and do this, okay? You're not to jump in a pool. You're not taking diving lessons, okay? No. You need ears, nose, and throat are all connected.
Right.
If you try to do like tequila tasting and you have a headset on, you can't do it.
No kidding.
You're impairing your smell, your sense of smell, by sticking some music in your head. I know because I've tried it. Okay, so left brain,
very cool.
Right brain, and then you take a little sip, and we go through a lot of the different exercises in the book where I call it mouth yoga. Okay, you take
Okay.
a little sip, you hold it between your lip and gum, and Matt, you probably know how to do this pretty well, and Patty, you probably do too, because you do
I
it with
don't know
wine.
about that.
You do it with wine as well.
Mhm.
You know,
Okay.
it's just to take a little bit, you know, and then you ingest it. You let it coat your palate, your tongue, and then swallow just a little bit. You don't need a whole lot.
Okay.
And I like to do what I call a retronasal. It sounds like I'm clearing my throat, but I'm actually taking the alcohol molecules, and it's like I'm retasting it, and it comes up my sinus passages. Okay, not unlike a Coke burp that comes back up through your nose.
Right, yeah.
Okay. Hey.
Coca-Cola.
Yeah, like a
Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola, right?
So do you do like a like that or
Exactly.
okay?
After you swallow, you want to, and you can even do it if you're good. You can do it while you still have a little bit in your mouth.
Oh,
But be
I better
careful.
not do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, you don't want it to go up the
We
wrong.
we might lose you if I try that.
They choked it out.
Okay. All right, here I go.
Okay. It's different now that I've done that. Yes.
Those are your three elements. That those are the three
Whoa.
primary elements that we
You
want
know,
to do.
the
And-
one thing that I will say is we took a course by Kevin Zraeli. He's a
Oh, okay.
big time wine guy.
Yeah.
What he taught us though is if you put your hand over your glass and kind of swirl and then stick your nose to it, it kind of traps some of the vapor.
Yeah.
So you really can get the nose of the product.
I tasted it totally different. That I kind of not cleared my throat, but did that. It was like wow, you could really taste the difference in it.
The interesting thing is
That's cool.
the
That is
size of the
so
glass.
cool.
The size and make of the glass also makes a big difference.
Right.
You can take a shot glass and drink a little bit of it, stick it in this glass, stick it in your Glencairn, and it's going to taste different all three times.
Right.
Okay. Now remember that technique. I like that technique. What happens is in the spirits business. Remember, he was a wine guy.
Wine guy, yeah.
Alcohol by volume in wine is 12%, 15%.
Yeah, way
12%.
different.
Very different. We're talking spirits. The
Mm.
ABV, the alcohol by volume, is at 40 ABV or it's 80 proof.
Right.
That's how it comes into the United States. And some tequilas are even higher.
Yeah.
There are people who have a hard time with alcohol. And there's glassware that's engineered to diffuse alcohol. The problem with that is that alcohol, when it comes to tequila, because it's made from a plant, not a grain,
Right.
tequila requires the alcohol because the elements of the alcohol present the other elements to you. So it requires you getting used to a little bit of the alcohol. You know, some of it, depending on whether it's a hot day, if you're in Vegas or Arizona, you got to serve your tequila on ice. You can't help it. Right.
Right.
But in California, if you're at room temperature or even in New York, you know, you keep it at room temp. And that's where you get all the subtleties. And then later on, you can play with it like a scotch. You can put it in a rocks glass and put ice in it. You know, ranch water is very popular in Texas. You know,
we're going to do one of those cocktails pretty soon.
Yeah. So anyway, those are your three elements. I'm glad that those techniques help because here's
it really makes a difference.
Here's the thing, the message that I want to drive home. During the pandemic, tequila took off because we were trying to drown our sorrows.
Right.
Okay. And I say we collectively as a people, as a nation.
Absolutely.
You know, a lot of my friends suffered. You know, I know, Matt, the hospitality industry took $1 billion hit.
Just decimated
in that 1 year.
There's people that are never coming back.
Yeah. There were bartenders and mixologists who were very talented that lost their jobs. They lost their wherewithal. We lost friends. We lost people in the industry. There was a lot of loss that went on in the last couple of years. And so what we wanted to do is we wanted to show something where you took your time, you got present with yourself, And what really technically what I call this is transformational tequila tasting. This is being at one with yourself, with each other, with you as a couple, with me and my friends, and I do this every tasting with all of our tasters. Every one of these guys, they're like, even though we're drinking virtually, we've been doing it for 23 years. We get to teach each other and experience the same things or differences.
Mm-hmm.
He'll point something sometimes. One of my tasters will point out something that I didn't catch. I learn from these guys as much as they learn from us.
Yeah.
And so this is like mindfulness. That it's like a tea ceremony. If you've ever done a tea ceremony or have ever seen
No,
one,
but I've seen one. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, or even a coffee tasting, which is a whole different animal.
Yeah,
I used to work with a coffee cupper. That's what they call them. And the way they taste coffee, they got to slurp like you're slurping, soup.
Yeah,
and but it works,
right.
And so basically what this is, we're just teaching mindfulness, and tequila is a vehicle. It could be anything. It could be anything. It could be wine, and wine glasses tend to be a bit wider, so you can get away with doing the swirl. I've had guys say, I like to, like you're taking a bong hit or something, inhaling it from the, and that again, that works with wine, but not so much with spirit.
No,
right.
Knock it right out of your
fanny. So those are the three elements. I hope that helps whoever's watching.
Try. It helps me, and the thing is, Mike, is even though I've been in the business for 27 years, I still am learning.
You beat me.
I still learn every day, and I love the fact that you're taking the time to tell us, and that's the thing. People,
they don't know.
People are so used to drinking things, and tasting things a certain way,
Right.
I mean, back when I was bartending as a 24-year-old kid, it was Cuervo, everybody doing shots of Cuervo,
That's what we all cut our teeth on that.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to be really fancy, you ordered 1800.
Yeah. If the bar had it.
Right? Same thing.
Yeah. So the tequilas back then were basically Pepe Lopez in the well, right?
I remember those hangovers. I do.
And then you'd have Cuervo 1800, Patron kind of snuck in there somewhere. But it wasn't a lot. But now you see a wall in a liquor store and it's just massive.
Yeah.
And there are so many different expressions and different ages and things like that. So can you tell people the difference between, say, a Blanco, a Reposado, and an Añejo and extra Añejo?
Sure.
Now, there are laws regulating those things.
Right. These are all by regulation, according to the rules and regulations of tequila, are called the normas. Okay. When you see me say norma or hear that, then that's what that is.
Okay.
The normas state that a Blanco tequila should be unaged.
Right.
Okay. Now there are certain variables that I can get into, but I'm not gonna right now, just to make this easy for everybody.
Okay.
So unaged, if they make it, they'll store it in a stainless steel silo. Okay. These things are huge. I don't know, 10,000 liter silos, and there's nothing in it. It just comes out of the still. They water it down to 80 proof, and that's what they're storing until they either find a buyer or they start bottling. Okay. So that's Blanco.
Blanco or silver.
Blanco, silver, plata, clear. Blanco, whatever you want.
Whatever they want to call it, right?
Yeah. Okay. Plata and Blanco are Spanish for white.
Okay.
So now Reposado can be aged in a barrel, a certain size barrel. Okay. Anywhere from 3 to just under a year. All right.
Okay.
So that could be 360, 3 days, and then they pull it out.
Okay.
They can still call it a reposado. Most often, if it's an agave grower who's making a grape blanco, he doesn't want a whole lot of wood influence.
Right.
And you want a lot of, let's put it this way. You got a tequila in sitting a 10,000 liter silo, and it's not making money for you. So you want it to come to the market as fast as possible, besides just bottling it. So then they'll stick it. The general rule that what you see is 3 to 6 months, sometimes 8 months, and you've got a reposado. It's bottled. It goes on the market.
Right.
An añejo needs to be aged a year.
Okay.
Anywhere from a year to up to 3 years.
Okay.
Okay. So again, the longer you let something sit and rest in a barrel, it's not making money for you.
Right.
So, but the longer you let it sit in a barrel, depending on the type of barrel you're using, the more character from the barrel that the tequila acquires.
Right.
Okay. And color and everything else. So the añejo is up to 3 years. An extra añejo doesn't have to have a number on it. In other words, it doesn't need to be on the label, but it's got to be 3 years and up.
Okay. Minimum.
So it could be 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 7 years. It could also be blended. Okay, so you've got it up to 3 years, and they're blending it with a 5 year. I think they don't have to tell you what it is. They can say up to 5 years, anywhere from 3 to 5 years. You know, they can. It's nebulous. Remember, I said that it's the highest regulated spirit in the world. Those are the loopholes.
Yeah.
Okay?
Right.
Yeah. So again, blending and polishing is not uncommon. It happens in bourbon, happens in rum, happens in whiskey.
Sure.
You know, and it's they do a lot of it for consistency.
Right.
And that I'm okay with that. As long as the barrels they're using are quality, or the mentality of the master distiller is, like, for instance, G4 comes Felipe Camarena, who's one of the Camarena brothers. He wants to use these old, distressed barrels that are just beat up, because he's an agave grower first. Okay. Right. He knows his agave has it going on. So the less barrel influence,
the better for him.
The better.
Right.
And honestly, he's right. If you've had any of his brands at all, any of his expressions, you'll fall in love with the stuff, because he's like a mad scientist. And any master distiller,
love that.
You know, I can go completely the other direction with Tears of Llorona. I know Germán Gonzalez. He's been at my home. He lives in San Antonio. He and I have known each other for years. If you check me out on my own Instagram, you'll see a picture of the two of us together.
Okay.
He multiple barrels. He was the brains behind the original Chinaco. For those of you who are old dogs,
I remember Chinaco.
Remember Chinaco?
Yes, sir.
He was their master distiller for a long time, and then wanted to branch out and start his own. So Tears of Llorona, he's got multiple barrels, but Scotch is the secret. The secret for him is the Scotch barrel. And when you have that, and he's an agave grower first.
Right.
So you have, even as an extra añejo, when you can still pull out agave in an extra aged spirit, that's a blessing.
Yeah.
Because the general rule is the longer tequila sits in a barrel, the more it starts to taste like anything but tequila.
Right. Yeah. The more it's like bourbon, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm telling you, there are master distillers out there. One of them, I've got his book, his cover. I'll pull that out later. But it's called The Bad Stuff. He's tasted Felipe Sotomares, who's one of my mentors, a certified catador. He makes his own tequila now, called The Bad Stuff, but he has an extra añejo to die for.
Oh, wow.
And we were fortunate enough to have dinner with him last December, and he tasted us on one during dinner, and we sat there, were talking, and I still couldn't believe, even after an hour of my sample just sitting in my glass, and I brought my own glassware for that evening, by the way. Yeah,
love it.
Yeah, so and we go, oh my God, I'm getting anise. I don't get anise is like a licorice or like a fennel.
Sure. Yep.
I don't get anise in an extra aged tequila very often, hardly at all. Most often, I sense it in a blanco, a really good blanco, or a reposado.
Right.
That hasn't been aged a whole lot. I could still pull it out in an extra aged after it sat in my glass for an hour.
Wow.
That's genius.
Yeah.
And and hopefully doing the course or at least learning some of the trips and tricks and tips, you'll be able to pull stuff out that like you guys did tonight. That was an easy,
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the thing is I got the I've always said, and it may not be correct, but I've always said that there's always that white pepper
Yeah,
Tasted that.
feel
totally
from
tasted that.
Blancos,
Yeah.
and this had like a little bit of a
But I didn't taste that until after I a little bit.
you do the retronasal, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
and it's kind of vegetal. I mean, it's got a little bit
yeah.
of green pepper type.
Yeah. The more of these you do, especially the quality tequilas, and don't get me wrong, you should be tasting as well.
Can we do this other one while we're talking?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that okay?
Yeah. The more mainstream ones, you should be tasting those, so you'll be able to tell the difference. That's how you self-educate. You say taste everything.
Yeah.
Just taste it all. You don't have to like it all. You don't have to finish it all either.
Thank you.
I give away probably more bottles than I keep. and I can't drink it all. My liver will never
Right.
be again.
So it would be a problem if we drank everything behind us.
I tonight would be sloppy.
So we're doing this is Corrosion
Yes.
Blanco. It's a single estate tequila.
That we are.
I've been a fan
one
of
of our
Corrosion for a long
graduates.
time.
One of our graduates, I sent that tequila to him. One of our recent graduates of the Catador course, who is now a member of our tasting team. He that was the tequila that he graduated with, and it was a great tasting. I was glad to hear that. In some cases, when a brand like that has to move from one distillery to another, that's usually it's a bad sign because it moves. The quality of the tequila changes. It just happens,
So
in this case, the quality of the tequila got better.
I got to tell you, this is unbelievably good. It really is. I mean, I hate to say this comparatively.
Goodness.
Two totally different tequilas. This has almost got some
Smooth.
some sweetness to it. It's almost got like a pineapple finish, and it's got this beautiful agave flavor. I mean, no offense to George Strait and everything. This was very good tequila as well. Different flavor profile.
Yeah, it's just different.
Totally different.
And this is like
amazing.
Yeah,
and I do taste a little bit of sweetness in there. I taste how it has a much smoother finish. Definitely.
Here's the thing that a nice fun fact.
Yes.
This distillery, Casa San Matias, where Corazon is produced, is the first female-owned distillery.
There it is.
By Carmen Villarreal, she's a saint. This lady's been doing it under the radar for a long time. And there's one other one now that she's gotten a lot more press. She produces wonderful tequilas as well. She produces stuff like La Gritona, Vicara tequila. Her name is Meli Barajas. She's also, everybody that works for her is all female, all women.
Oh, that's so cool.
And this one, like I said, this distillery has been owned by a woman for a long time. Interesting backstory with her. She had to take up the reins after her husband was assassinated.
Oh, geez.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I mean, this was years and years ago. This lady's a legend. And we've interviewed her for our Babes to Boss Ladies book that you can also pick up on Amazon.
Nice.
So you have one of the, and for the price. Oh my God,
the price. Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is too, is Corazon has gone through its different packages. It had the big, tall neck on it.
Yeah.
It was like a bar weapon.
Yep.
Well,
that's when it was still being made at the old Espolón distillery.
Espolón tequilas.
I mentioned this to you off camera.
Yeah.
Espolón and Corazon were the stablemates at one point at Destilería San Nicolás.
Okay.
And when the distillery was sold to Campari, Corazon had to find a new
My
home.
new digs, yeah.
And that's when David Grafschi, who's in charge of that brand, Casa San Matias, and also Siete Leguas, which is another.
I've heard
historic
that. I've heard that name before. Yeah.
Siete Leguas, 7 leagues.
Yeah.
That's a legendary tequila.
Yeah.
On both sides of the border. Siete Leguas was the original producer of Patron.
Oh wow. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
that makes sense, right?
So yeah, so this distillery, aces.
Awesome.
Aces.
Awesome.
So I'm gonna make a cocktail, my friend.
Do it.
And
Show
so
me
so here's the thing. Full disclosure, I snuck in some super juice today.
Super juice.
So yeah, so we do this thing, and we found a couple of doing our show. We started following some other guys, and there are 2 gentlemen who have kind of like pushed us into the super juice thing just by watching their videos. One is a German gentleman by I think it's Kevin Kovos. I'm not sure. I'll put his links in the description.
Yeah, link it
Because here's the thing, he has that squeaking noise.
I don't know if you can hear that squeaking.
That squeaking
My
noise.
dog is at the top of the stairs squeaking
her
his
toy.
toy right now.
Oh, that's fine. That's cool. My cat's
She
too
won't come
afraid to come in.
downstairs, thank God, because
She
there's too
will
many
not come
wires.
downstairs.
But so this gentleman has a super juice calculator. What you do is you take the rind from a citrus fruit. So when you do a cocktail program, obviously, when you squeeze a half of a lime, you're going to get a little bit of juice. But what you do with this is actually 4 limes.
Wow.
Yes. So, and that's part of the super part of it. So what you do is you take the rind from the lime, leave as much pith as possible on the lime. Then you weigh the rind, and then you put that into this gentleman's calculator, and it tells you how much malic acid and how much citric acid to add to the peels. So you let those macerate for approximately an hour. Okay. Once that's done, what I do is I squeeze the actual juice from the limes, put them in, and then back off the water. So the rest of it is water. Okay. But what you get is this gorgeous lime juice that is for cocktail bars way more sustainable than just squeezing a half a lime or a full lime into a cocktail and then having to throw everything else away.
Yeah.
So it's so much more beneficial for a cocktail program. So we did a show on this, and we were like, no way it's better than fresh squeeze. Well,
the taste profile is unbelievable.
We did it, and we're both looking at each other like, oh my God. So anyway, so this is super lime juice. So what I'm going to do is I've got our friends. Oh no, I don't have oh yeah, I'll use this. I thought I brought ice for this, but that's okay. I'll use some of the big ones. So what we have here is a elevated craft cocktail shaker, and we're going to do a classy margarita. Now, when I say classy, I mean no salt, because there's going to be
I'm so used to making ghetto ritas.
I
live in the hood, man.
So one ice cube's going to work. All right, so I'm going to put this baby in here. All right, now I'm going to use our friend Corrosion.
All right.
The cool thing about this elevated craft cocktail shaker, I'm doing a quick commercial, is it's all self-contained. So everything screws in here, and it doesn't leak. It doesn't freeze up.
Oh, that's cool. And it doesn't get stuck either. Does it get stuck?
I've done shows where it gets stuck.
Yeah. Because it freezes up, and you have to
Yeah, and then you look like a goofball like me.
Yeah, pound it against your head to open it up or something.
So inside you have metric on one side and English on the other. So I'm not gonna be in Canada, but I'm gonna do a cocktail here.
I love
we are going
sound.
to do 4 ounces of Corrosion. Beautiful tequila.
Now, besides straight and neat, I should say, what is your favorite way to drink tequila? Is neat the only way?
Neat's the only way that I take it. However, if I'm visiting somebody and they have their own margarita recipe or a paloma, You know,
Yep.
again, the beauty of a lot of the recipes that entail tequila, and that's why I like watching you guys when you make your own cocktails, is it the simplicity.
Yeah.
You know, there's sophistication in simplicity, right? So
Right.
you want to make sure that it's not too complicated. I've got the stuff here at the house. You know,
Right.
make
Oh,
it.
yeah.
You know, and I don't. And if somebody's making it for me, I don't want them to go through a whole lot of trouble. You know,
Exactly.
so the one thing I will watch is sometimes the salted rim and things like that,
Right.
and or sugar, whatever.
Right.
If they use tahine, that's always fun because it's different, especially in your more fruity mango margaritas or guava margaritas or avocado margaritas,
Right. Right.
stuff like that. So I'm not opposed to experimenting, but if it was just me, I'm
Yeah.
not going to go through any of that trouble. I'm just if we get a lot of submissions for us, like ready to drinks, margarita mixes, things like that. And if I have one of those in the house that's got all the stuff in it, I'm cool, And if we enjoyed it and we found it as a brand of promise, nominated it as a brand of promise that's well done, I'm
Right.
all good with that. Because there are several out there right now that are really well done.
Sure. What did you
But
just
yeah,
drop in there?
if I was downstairs with you guys,
Sure.
I let Matt make me one.
What came out of that skull?
Hang on, I'll tell you a second.
Oh.
So this is just a beautiful nuts and bolts margarita without any orange liqueur. This is the tequila singing for itself and super juice. And now the pièce de résistance. This is 20%. Well, I'm probably not on here. Okay. It's 20% saline solution. Yes. So
Really?
I've
Okay.
also watched this gentleman by the name of Leandro Di Manriva, the educated barfly. He had this other bartender on there, and he says, "You salt your food. Why not salt your cocktails?" So they salt most of their cocktails, but they don't obviously salt a Manhattan or a
Right.
or old fashioned. But cocktails like this, yes, anything with citrus, boom. So now,
Really?
yes,
So you don't have to salt your rim,
no,
which is great because you don't have all that salt sticking on you, licking.
Yeah. The one thing I will say that when it comes to tequila, when you use that, is it might.
Hello.
Sometimes we get tequilas, blancos especially, they have a brininess to them.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I would imagine that gives you a little bit more like a brine. In fact, that'd be great for like a dirty martini or something.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Good idea.
So here we go.
Cheers,
Cheers.
Mike.
Yes,
Thank
I
you.
will.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, love you.
Cheers. Yep.
Right? You don't need to mess it up with
Oh my
orange liqueur.
gosh.
So super juice strikes
It
again.
sounds, and it's super easy. It sounds
So,
like
and the thing is,
So
all I did was
easy.
add like an ounce of agave because the super juice is very, very tart. So you're gonna need to pull that back a little bit.
Mhm.
So all that is Corrosion tequila, super lime juice, and about 4 to 5 dashes of 20% saline solution, and some agave, and you're done. And this is just, it's so refreshing. It has everything there is to be about a great margarita, but it's a little bit elevated in the fact that it lets the tequila speak for itself. There's no masking it with triple sec or orange liqueur. It's just, I think a margarita the way it should be,
Yeah, the thing I'll say is that a lot of when you look at some of these bartenders and mixologists now on Instagram or on their Facebook or whatever, the presentation is always the thing, especially in some of these higher end restaurants and things like that. So what kind of garnish would you put on that, or would you even bother with a garnish? Because that's
I threw a wheel of lime in there just to
Okay.
make it pretty, but you can throw one on the side, but I like to put it right in there.
yeah.
There's something to be said about a cocktail that has a little bit of the lime oil dancing around in the glass. It gives
Yeah,
it
yeah.
a little bit more of a flavor.
So I was a bartender for 13 years, and there
By
was
the way, is that how you guys met?
we
Sorta,
met in a
kinda.
bar.
Yeah, we met the old-fashioned way in a bar.
I thought you guys met it. I thought you met at church. Isn't that the story? Or was that church like on Sunday after the bar? That's
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Praying for forgiveness, probably.
Please, Lord, help me.
aren't we all?
Yes.
Oh gosh.
Sort of, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah. But the thing that irritated me the most would be if you would ask for a drink and you'd say, let's just say that we said vodka tonic with lime, and they took the lime and they just threw it in your drink. It made no sense to me. Why aren't you squeezing it?
Correct.
Yeah.
And putting the essence into the drink? That's what makes the drink. And that used to drive me nuts. So the oils from the lime and all, I love all that. You have to taste it.
See, and to your point, the fact that you said you love the lime and the lime oil, that the difference between a bartender and just a guy who's behind a stick is that the bartender gives a shit. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Gives a damn, because, and I'll tell you why I'm saying that is that in this yard I have it's an old tree. It's been here like 30 years, but it's two trees planted together. So half the tree is giving us oranges.
Oh.
The other half is giving us limes.
Oh my God.
Or lemons. I'm sorry, lemons.
That's so cool.
But the thing is, as a kid growing up, this is actually the childhood home I grew up in. And
cool.
When we were kids, we would pull a leaf off the growing tree, and it was before it was giving us any fruit, and we'd rub it in our hands and rub it, and you get that lime, that lemon oil in your hands.
So great.
And then when it started to blossom, when it was ready, when it was maturing, and it would start to get these, and the blossoms, lemon blossoms, the smell of that. I remember taking my first horseback ride out here with a gal I was dating, and she took me through an orange grove.
Oh, wow.
And just the smell of the oranges, which are really different than the lemon blossoms I grew up with.
Yeah.
So, all that. And, I can see your frustration because you really care about that whole thing. But see, it's not a catastrophe until there's a lime shortage. Remember that happened a couple of years before?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Where you couldn't buy limes anywhere, because the cartel was doing something. We were getting all our limes from Mexico, and the cartel was screwing up the routes, and there was a lime shortage. And the amount of you couldn't buy them, and you started going Persian limes and Meyer lemons, things like that.
The Meyer lemons.
So that right there would be a perfect reason to do a super juice thing.
Exactly. Yeah. I can see your point where it's much more sustainable that way.
I tell you, Mike, when we started watching that video, we're like, yeah, okay, the typical whatever internet, But we did a show, and we did it with just a straight daiquiri, and all it was a silver rum, and I didn't have enough limes to do the full shot, so I did. Basically, it was I think a 4 or 5 fruit blend. So I had. It was 5. It was orange, blood orange, grapefruit, lemon, and lime. And it was this beautiful, like, almost like the color of your shirt. It was this beautiful color. And so then I made the super juice, set it aside, and then I made the same exact juice with fresh squeezed juice. And we took the first drink of the one that had the actual real juice in it, or I shouldn't say real juice, but the fresh squeezed juice.
Right.
And we looked at each other as like, no way this is going to get beaten, because I would have paid $15 in a bar for that drink.
Yeah.
That's how great that drink was. And then we made the drink with the super juice. And the difference was is the first cocktail tasted like fresh squeezed juice, and then you added rum. The second drink was so well. The super juice basically incorporated the rum into it to where there was no boundary. It was throughout the cocktail. You just had this beautiful cocktail. It was so weird to experience.
It was balanced. It was more
Oh, it
balanced.
was so much
Oh,
more
yeah.
balanced. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh my God. And the gentleman that I gotta learn this guy's name. I keep talking about him, but the gentleman
Elevated
that
bar.
started this, he is a bartender in Kentucky, and he
Wow.
was like, man, we have a great cocktail program, but we're going through all these limes and lemons and stuff, and there's got to be a better way. So he figured it out, and then these other gentlemen started basically telling the story of Super Juice, and the one gentleman's got a calculator, which is awesome. It has lemon, lime, orange, grapefruit, so you can make whatever you want. You just tell them you can start with one simple lime or lemon or whatever, and just plug in the ingredients. You have to buy obviously malic acid, food grade malic acid, and citric acid, but you can get those in any health food store or on Amazon. I
Yeah.
found the malic acid on
Yeah,
Amazon,
yeah.
and it is amazing. And it's one of those things that if you have something like this and you have a beautiful tequila, why wouldn't you rather do something like that than a mix?
Right. Right. Oh yeah, no mix.
That's
no mix.
full of sugar.
Let me ask you what
Sure.
when you make that juice, the super juice,
Mm-hmm.
and it sits, I assume you refrigerate it.
Yes. Yep. Lasts for about a month and a half.
I was going to ask you, the longer it sits in there, does it become even stronger, or does the flavor profile change? To
flavor profile stays the same. So the Educated Barfly, he did a show about the super juice. The back portion of the show was he did the same experiment like we did, where fresh juice, super juice, and then he did fresh juice, super juice from I think like 4 weeks later, same exact result.
Wow.
It's that
so
amazing.
So it stays, because some things when they steep, they stay, they sit.
Well, no, what happens is once you blend the pit or blend the rind and the water and the juice itself, you strain it out through like a cheesecloth or a nut milk bag.
Okay.
And all that other stuff is gone. So it's just the actual juice. There's no rind in there.
So you don't have to shake it up or anything like that.
It does get a little bit more cloudy on the bottom. You just shake it up and it's fine.
Okay.
But it doesn't degrade at all. I mean, it's amazing. So that took me approximately an hour and 20 minutes to make. And it was 4 limes, and I got over 2.5 cups of juice. So I can use this, whenever.
And you use it within like a month and a half.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, we use it pretty quickly.
And then once I start getting a little bit, so say for instance, I get it down to about here, I just make a simple syrup out of it, and it goes in for, it lasts even longer.
So do you find that your background as bartenders, does it help when you go, when you meet with your customers and things like that? Does that
I'm in a division where I just strictly sell to off premise, so I just call on stores. Okay. However, I have one account that has the girl that runs it. She is in charge of this restaurant, so I tell her about all this stuff. And I'm so excited about it when I sit down with her and I'm like a little kid. I'm like, oh my God, I got something cool to tell you.
used to sell to restaurants.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I think for us, for our bartending background, it helps us to be a little bit more creative. Like I don't want to make a traditional, just a plain, say, mojito or a margarita. I want to make it as easy as that, but it's got to have a little bit of a punch.
Yeah.
Just something a little different.
Yeah. So we've been making our own simple syrups. We've been purchasing some stuff from which we found online. There's a wealth of stuff out there that just a little bit of something extra can change your cocktail and elevate it to a different level. I did a pineapple mojito with just fresh pineapple the other day, and oh my God.
And we try to use what's fresh in season. Yeah. Like right now, I just picked up some peaches on my way home. Ooh. And I will probably do a like grilled peach bourbon
Yes.
smash. You know what I mean? Like,
You're
yeah,
killing me.
I know.
Come on over, bro.
So when do I get to see the recipe book from both of you?
Well, we're
Well,
working.
we're
We're
in
working.
That's in the works.
We're
That's
working
what
on
I
it.
thought. Yeah,
And I got to
that's what
tell you,
thought.
we will definitely have a chapter for you in there.
Yeah.
Oh,
for
please do.
sure.
Yeah,
Because
because honestly, what we want to do is obviously just there's always the the vodka section, the gin section, the rums. We want to do it in sections, and some of our cocktails, even through the pandemic, were like I had in my freezer. You remember those Italian ices?
oh yeah.
I made a lemonade with one of the I cut the Italian ice in half and I used that as ice instead of actual
Oh,
ice.
my.
And it's just I didn't need to put sugar in it because the stuff is sweet enough as it is.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just put fresh squeezed lemon juice in it, and it was a beautiful strawberry Italian ice lemonade. Throw a little vodka in there, and it's it doesn't take a lot. It's almost like because I love to cook. It's almost like being on Chopped. What's in the house.
Okay.
Yeah. I could do whatever with this, and put that in there, and boom, shake it up, and there you go.
Yeah.
But yeah,
How much of your personality shows through when you're making your own videos? I mean, when I ask that, how much of your bartender personality comes across when you guys are sitting behind the table? Do you automatically just turn around and go, behind the stick again?
no, this is one of those.
So this is actually funny because people that don't know Matt, I'm a hairdresser. I own a hair salon, so I'm in the public all day long. So I feel like I'm on stage for 10 hours a day. You know what I mean? And it's wonderful. It's fun. I work with a great group of stylists, and we're intermingling and we're talking all the time. And that's what I love to do. But people that don't know Matt, which I would say everybody knows him more than they know me. But people that don't know him say, I met your husband. He is exactly the same person on camera as he is off camera. And I go, it's who he is. There's nothing fake about him.
The greatest.
So you're really just you're actually a shrinking violet. That's who you are, right?
Yes, I need to come out of my shell, Michael. So I mean, listen,
you're such a wallflower, man.
Absolutely, I gotta
let's pull it out, dude. Let's just
So we had the greatest compliment. I do stand-up comedy on the side also. So we have a friend of mine that I do some shows with, and he goes, we're driving to a gig, and he goes, the funny thing, he goes, it's really not that funny. He goes, but the funny thing about your show is if you come to your house, that's what you're gonna get. So
is true.
If you come over, you might get some arguing, which goes on behind the scenes.
Oh yeah.
However, this is who we are, and we love to have fun. We love to have some drinks. We love to spread the word about quality cocktails and quality
like you said, we love to educate.
I like to educate. I don't want to say by mistake, but sneaky,
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you saw any of our before shows when we first started, when the pandemic started, but
it was all shot on iPhone.
It was shot on an iPhone. It was at our dining room table. And the biggest thing about the show was Matt would make me taste and learn, and he explained everything to everyone, things that I didn't know. And there's a story to every bottle.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And he would tell it, and it was great information, and people loved that. And it's not just sipping a drink. It is, but a story sells it.
Absolutely,
for sure.
As long as the story's real.
Exactly.
100%. Yeah.
Exactly.
Because there's a lot of. I was made aware a couple of months ago about how now marketing plans
Oh yeah.
include a story that's been manufactured.
Oh man.
And that's got to be part of the marketing plan in order to launch this tequila. Because
Sure.
we had an old article that's still an industry standard on our website. And what it boils down to is the numbers. Just to launch a tequila successfully requires $10 million.
Oh my
Oh
god.
my God.
Wow.
And you know how many of them are not launched that way? I mean, some people
Yeah.
launch them on a shoestring. They don't have it. Some of them have been around for 5 years. And I tell them that story, or they may have read the article.
Yeah.
They say, Mike, you have no idea how much money I poured into this thing.
Yeah.
Some
Well,
people,
yeah,
isn't there an old saying in the distribution business? If you want to make $5 million in the tequila business, oh no, you want to make $1 million in the tequila business, you have to invest $5 million.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
If you want to make a small fortune in the liquor industry, start with a large fortune and open a distillery.
Yeah, and it's
So
not
true.
changed. You know,
Yeah.
it's so true because you really don't make the money until you sell out, until you get that golden parachute, and then you become George Clooney for $1 billion.
Yeah, how about that, huh?
Jeez.
Wow.
That's crazy because he sold a brand in a bottle and an image
Yeah.
for $1 billion. You know, when Herradura sold to Brown Forman, this was I'm not sure exactly what the date was, somewhere in the mid 2000s, I think. There was some recalculation in the numbers, but it sold somewhere between 750 million to 790 million.
Wow.
Okay, somewhere along there. And that was the distillery, the storage, everything except the old hacienda that still belongs to the family.
Sure.
Because there's an old consecrated hacienda. Anybody who's been to Herradura, if you're taking that train ride from Guadalajara to Herradura, you know what I'm talking about. That hacienda stays with the family, but they sold everything else, lock, stock, and barrel for about 790 million.
Good for them.
Yeah, but the disparity is you have Clooney with two other partners, all right, who sold a label and a bottle and some juice for $1 billion.
Wow.
There's no disparity. You know, when Diageo wanted to buy Jose Cuervo, they offered them $3 billion. And that sale never went through, obviously, because Cuervo was just not interested.
Right.
You know that $3 billion at that time when Diageo made that offer could have bought you the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Now you can't buy Cuervo for that money, and you can't buy the Dodgers for that money.
Sure.
You know, but in that era, that's what the so it's really interesting to see a disparity of what we're paying money for.
Yeah.
The most expensive bottle of tequila comes at $1,999. And I got news for you. That tequila you're drinking is way better.
Yeah, it is good.
I was in a store today and some lady was looking for this specific bottle, and I'm not going to say. But I've heard through certain channels that it's not that great, and
probably not.
And I'm like, wow. And I know I have a brand that's similar that's like $40 less. And I'm like, hey, buy that, would you?
Yeah,
but,
oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
So real quick, what about Cristalinos? Now that's starting to be a thing.
Yeah, it's becoming a thing.
Is it a traditional thing?
No.
Or is it something manufactured like
I've heard it said that even in Mexico it's becoming quite the trend.
Okay.
It's trendy. Okay. What it is, for those of you who don't know what a Cristalino is, it could be a Reposado, an Añejo, or an extra Añejo.
Okay. That
has been aged in barrels for a certain length of time, and I went through that earlier. You can rewatch that portion of the video, right? Just scroll back, you'll see it. And what happens is it's run through a carbon filtration system.
Yeah.
Once it comes out of that barrel, and they strip the color and supposedly some of the character of the barrel that the tequila has acquired. So if it's done correctly, it's a bit clearer, not pristine like a Blanco would be,
right.
But it's got a little bit of a tinge, okay? And depending on who's making it, and it's got more of the barrel character without the super
Color.
barrel character that might be a little off-putting for some people. I
Okay.
don't know.
Okay.
Frankly, a lot of us in the purist circles that I run in go, why would you take something that's, been so labor intensive and you've been watching it, you're aging it, it hasn't been making you any money, right?
Right.
You're waiting
And
at
you're
least
stripping
2
it.
years, and then you want to strip the color out of it. Why? Well, because people are asking for it.
Yeah.
I know one brand that's very uh, they're a very traditional brand. They're very popular in Mexico, very popular now in the United States, and well done tequila. I love their stuff. And they were literally forced to make a Cristalino because everybody else has got one.
Wow.
Now, here's the thing. Within the normas have not been rewritten since 2012.
Okay.
They were rewriting them or recalibrating it every so many years, but they haven't touched them since 2012. So it is not an officially recognized expression within the normas, but everybody's making one.
Right.
So they can strip the color out of a reposado, out of an añejo, or an extra añejo, and they can still ask a price point that maybe falls right below their stablemate, right below the extra añejo,
Right.
or right below that reposado, or I don't know, right above between a reposado and an añejo. I don't know. It depends on who's making it and what brand we're talking about.
Yeah.
Some are made quite well. I
Okay.
can name a couple, as a matter of fact. Others, don't waste your money.
Gotcha.
Don't waste your money. You're paying. We had one that we tasted. Beautiful bottle, beautiful presentation. I knew the distillery it was coming from. That distillery makes everything with a diffuser, and they were asking a crazy price for it because you're paying for the marketing and the professional photographs, the presentation that they were sending it to you, and it just fell flat on its face.
That's horrible.
We've had other ones that they're beautiful, heavy, like a cognac bottle. It's just heavy, thick, but no substance.
Yeah.
It's all artificial. It's not. And again, you probably the average consumer may not be able to pull those out. That's okay. Right. But when you've had as many as we've had, and we know where they're coming from,
right?
We know, and it's like, nah, and I can't.
So they're.
I can't say the review without telling the public, look, don't waste your time.
Right.
Okay, right.
Just do yourself a favor. You'll be disappointed. It's if you want to give it to somebody as a gift, it's great. Do that. Give it for what it's made for, but there's no substance in it. It's just not. It's just not. So again, so they're making Cristalinos with a diffuser tequila. It's like, really? Come on, it's almost like an oxymoron. You know what I mean?
Right.
So when you say a diffuser tequila, what do you mean?
Okay, diffusers are a glorified shredder. This thing is as huge as a train.
Okay.
And there are several distilleries that we know of, and we have a running list that comes in our Catador course. There's an app you can download if you're not used to doing your own research, that will tell you what the process is. And again, just because this particular distillery makes contract brands for other companies doesn't necessarily mean that they make everything with a diffuser, but there's a pretty good chance they do. And if there is one on site, it casts a suspicion. It casts like a little bit of shade. So depending on who you are, you might want to avoid those brands altogether or not. I don't know. It's up to the consumer. Whatever you want to do. And what that is they take immature agave. Okay. Anywhere we know that they are harvesting agave between 2 and 4 years.
Right.
Yeah, and it doesn't even require the amount of sugars that we were talking about earlier. We have to test it. And you want at least 24 bricks. Doesn't matter. They stick it in a autoclave, and they shoot hot water through it. At some point, depending on what distillery it is, they may use hydrochloric acid.
Oh
And
man.
what that does, that melts the fibers of the agave so that it can be fermented quicker. So
wow.
when you open up
Mm.
the you open up the autoclave, you have this goo sits at the bottom, and then you run that through a shredder and more hot water, and you try to squeeze everything out of it. Then most of these diffusers, when you purchase them, these companies also make what they call column stills, which is how they make vodka. You know what they look like, Matt. They look like huge. They look like some of the micro distilleries will have column stills,
Yep.
and it double distills in the same run. Okay,
Right.
so it's very efficient. It's got several plates in it. You can kind of watch the liquid go up and go down.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun to look at. So when that's done, you can bottle it right away, let it rest, or you put it in a barrel. So your cost is much more minor. It's not right now. There's an agave shortage. The agave prices have been spiking through the roof for like the last year. Okay,
Oh no.
And a brand that doesn't own their own agave has a hard time. They have to buy agave on the open market, and the open market's where the price of agave goes up and down like diamonds or gold. Okay,
Sure.
Right.
and right now, until the level of agave, until that levels out, the amount of agave on the market that's available for sale, which right now anybody that's got a 5-year plant is throwing it on the market. So anything below that, you're paying less for it, so it's less. Your cost on the prime material is lower, so your price, your how you justify your price on the market is by buying better barrels, marketing, taking these fancy photographs, getting a that's where most of your budget's going to. The bottle, okay, bottle,
Yep.
So what's going on is you don't have any substance in the juice, but you got a pretty bottle, you got great marketing, you got a made up story, okay, and it's all part of the business plan. And you're charging $150, $200 for that bottle for juice, and at the end, because you don't have any substance in that juice, you got to use the additives to make it taste like the real deal.
Man,
so
what a mess.
That's the kind of stuff that we kind of pull the curtain on in the book. That it's not everything that the marketing people, the copywriters are giving us. It's not that 7 or 8 years, unless it's coming from the master distiller himself, who's an agave grower, unless it's coming from the agave growers, that's what they're doing. Everything that I get, sell sheets, information sheets, shelf talkers, neck tags, all that stuff, take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's why I say that we wanted folks that hopefully that would take the course, that they got curious enough to do their own research.
Right.
Yeah, check it out for themselves.
A little bit, just like you did with your the super juice, and you back engineered it. You see, that's the kind of curiosity I'm looking for. That's the kind of student you want, because when you were, especially Patty, you were talking about the lime oil. Why would you just flick the lime and just squeeze the damn thing in there?
Yeah.
It's like
exactly.
Do what
it's supposed to do.
It's simple, but it's something that you as an observer will look at and go, "Oh, she's just flicking it off." She's not.
Makes a world of difference.
100%.
Exactly.
Whether or not somebody cares or not.
Well, that's just it. You've got these mainstream brands who are taking shortcuts, and anybody will tell you it doesn't even matter what it is. If you're taking a shortcut, there's no gratification in it.
Right.
If you're Ron Cooper, I have a quote from Ron Cooper that I'm going to use in a future book here shortly. Ron Cooper is the father of mezcal. He's the one that brought mezcal to the United States, and that's Del Maguey.
Yes, we sell
Yep.
Del Maguey.
Yes.
Yeah, so you know the quality of Del Maguey.
Yes.
Ron, I've known Ron for years. In fact, funny story that we met at one of my first tequila tastings that we ever did in New Mexico. He came down from Taos. I didn't even know he was living in Taos.
Oh,
The
no
guy
kidding.
was a legend, and he's got a personality that precedes him. You know, the personality enters the room before he does. So
That's awesome.
he has a quote, and I have the video of him talking about that when he talks about mezcal. Mezcal is open air fermented. In other words, it's the juice, the fibers, that everything that's been macerated, they throw in a pine vat. And you know, the master distiller, the agavero, has taken that, he has controlled the growth of that plant all the way to the point where, okay, here you go, this is it, and then God takes over.
Right.
So he doesn't throw in additives, he doesn't throw in yeast. It's just
Beautiful.
every 1,000 meters, there are microbes in the air
Yeah.
in Oaxaca, in
Natural
whatever microclimate
yeast.
they're in,
Yeah.
that goes into your vat of stuff that influences the final product.
Yeah.
And what he
That's
said
so cool.
was, my favorite quote was that industrially made, anything made industrially leaves no room for God
Wow.
or the universe or whatever. Okay, whatever
Right.
you want to call
Right.
it.
Right.
You know, but you understand where that's coming from,
Oh,
because
yeah.
Yes.
100%
Yes.
agree with you.
at some point you can control almost everything along the path of the growth of an agave. But when it comes to open air fermentation,
Mhm.
it's whatever's in the air.
It is what it is. Yeah.
It is what
It is what it is. Okay.
Yeah.
After it gets all fermented and they're done with it, whatever, however long it takes, then the distiller takes more control and he can distill it and he can get, you know, the ABV and he can do all that without instruments, by
Right.
the way.
Yeah.
You know,
And out in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
right.
And
And that's, you know, that's mezcal. But even in tequila, you know, you've got that's when the chemical engineer takes over and says, okay, we're going to go at, you know, at this temperature, we're going to distill it this way. I got my copper pot stills, or stainless steel with a copper wire, whatever tools he's using.
Right.
But at some point, there's no control.
Yeah.
You know, unless you're dumping champagne yeast, which has been done. That's not bad. Okay, it's not bad.
Right.
Or you're dumping yeast just to increase the length of time it takes to ferment. Stuff that's made with the diffuser, you can bet it's all about time. The faster they get it in the bottle, the faster they get it to market, the sooner I can make money.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a shortcut.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
crazy.
For me, I don't know about anybody else out there, but for me, when we talk about doing the tequila tasting, and I showed you the three elements and how to do that, the
Yep.
mindfulness only comes in if the juice you're using is properly made. If I were to do this now, see here, if I were to do the same techniques with a mainstream tequila that's fronted by a celebrity, chances are I'm going to be disappointed.
Right.
But you discover that. You own it. You own that disappointment. You did the research. You went out and got the bottle. You love the celebrity. You bought it because of him or her or whatever. You know, you buy her songs. You listen to her, whatever. And then you do those three simple elements where you're by yourself and you go, yeah, I'm just not getting it like I got with that corazon. How come?
Right.
How
Yeah.
come? You know?
Right.
So again, the idea of the mindfulness is so that you can. This is the cherry on top. That's how you finish educating yourself. Then you know that. Then I know I did my job. You know, when you guys serve a drink, there's up to that point. Once you give it to that person, that's up to that person. He's gonna, you know, he's either gonna not enough vodka in it. There's not enough. How come it tastes like this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're always gonna get a troll.
Right.
Sure. Oh yeah.
Right.
But when that customer's happy and he know and he goes back to you and he comes back to you and he comes back to you,
Yep.
you know, when he becomes a regular, it's the same thing with hair, right? The more you craft that, the more you look at person and make them look better, the more they're going to be appreciative of your skills.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's just, it's all about appreciation. It's about mindfulness, and it's about, you know, being at one with yourself.
Yeah.
And you can't learn that by shooting something. You just can't.
Right. No.
Right.
Take the time to squeeze the line. All right.
Absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
got to care about what you're doing, no matter
Right.
what. You have to put some love into it.
And
or,
use quality ingredients.
yeah.
That's
Oh
all.
my
Yeah.
gosh.
Exactly.
For
And
sure.
that's kind of what drove me when I started seeing you watching your videos. It's like, you know, there's something there. You guys are funny. You know, you kind of riff off each other kind of pretty well. But I knew that there was something there. There was some substance there. It wasn't just because some of the influencers that we meet along the way are very they're out here in left field. You know, and you know they're. I don't know if you follow baseball, Matt, but I do. I'm a big baseball guy, and so you know there are errors of commission and there are errors of omission.
Yes.
You know, a commission means, you know, I'm over enthusiastic and I struck out trying to bunt, you know, okay, I messed up, but you give that person, you know, an A for effort, right?
That's right.
And there are other people that just, I purposely not do that. I'm not going to run down first base, even though it's a chopper in front of me.
Right.
Because I know he's going to throw me out, so why bother, right?
Yeah.
That's an error of omission.
Yeah.
You did that on purpose. And that's when you get that's when you get a reputation for being, you know, Manny Machado. So anyway, so that's what I'm saying, that there's a lot of things that you if you care, you'll always find the right path.
Yeah.
If you don't care, then, you know, don't watch it.
Exactly.
I don't know. Don't read the book.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine that opened a taqueria type Mexican restaurant.
Yeah.
And I had a friend of mine who was one of our suppliers. We met with him and started, listen, you know, you can do this, let's do this right. So we're gonna, you know, Herradura was his house tequila. And it was a little bit more expensive, but he's like, yeah, I love it. It's awesome, whatever. So I helped out opening night, which was not necessarily the best thing to do because I'm not supposed to. But anyway, I helped bartend that night. So this group comes in and they ordered 5 people had house margaritas, and it was with Herradura. So one lady sends it back, hers back. There's no tequila in it. And I said, okay, maybe I'm a little screwed up, but I'll make another one. So I made another one, sent it over to her. And the waitress comes back. She said there's no tequila in it. I go, please tell the lady to come and see me. So I said, hi, how are you? I said, you sit right here in front of me. And I made her the margarita in front of her. And I showed her how much was going in every single drop of alcohol. And I said, ma'am, you're used to the burn. And the burn comes from a mixto tequila, which is 51% agave and the rest is whatever. This is 100% blue agave. It's a good tequila. And then I had her taste it straight. And then she tried the margarita. She goes, oh my God, I guess I've never really had a margarita. I go, there you go. But
what would the other 49% be?
Vodka.
Like what?
The other 49% is other sugars, which can be sugar. It can be concentrated sugar that you can buy on the market. As long as again, highly regulated, lots of loopholes.
Right.
Every distillery in 2006, every distillery was required to have a lab on site.
Oh wow!
Wow.
So in the laboratory, if you ever walk into one, they've got samples of everybody else's tequila there. And I kind of wondered why, you know, and these analysts, these chemical engineers and analysts, you know, they do that on purpose. We try either there are some yeast, for instance, that's proprietary that they make from their own plants, like El Tesoro does that.
Yes.
So when they make when they say proprietary yeast, they're making the yeast to throw in the fermentation, but it's made from their own plants. So it just adds more flavor to the flavor profile. Okay. And it does the job of being yeast. So some of them, maybe they make yeast. Some of them analyze it for to make sure that there's consistency, from batch to batch. I've been told in one of my visits to San Nicolas from the one that sold to Campari, there were times when they said that we double distill everything, but sometimes we have to triple distill it. We just don't put it on the bottle. So
Right.
if it doesn't come across, if the technicians look at this batch and go, it's going to need another distillation because it's just not not there where it needs to be, they run it through the distill one more time.
Yeah.
So that's what the lab does. It's like quality control. But
Sure.
Right.
Every lab has to submit a sample of every batch to the CRT, which is a Consejo Regulador de Tequila. That's the overseeing body of tequila.
Wow.
And or when they come visit, they're going to come visit your lab.
Sure.
They've got their guys who come out and they every time you barrel a tequila or you open a barrel, you have to have a representative of the CRT there
Wow.
to document.
Jesus.
That's
Like
amazing.
every barrel, you don't see these in the pictures, but every barrel has to have a certificate that's signed by the guy from the CRT saying this was barreled on July 11th or 12th.
So this way the dates stay regulated as whether or not it's going to be
Yeah,
a
but
Blanco or a
he has a log also. Everything is logged.
Wow.
Now they log where the agave comes from. All the agave is logged in.
Wow. That's so amazing.
Yeah, they're doing so much more. They really are because the industry has a history of gluts and shortages.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
But they haven't been able to figure out how to level that out so it's consistent. Okay.
Right.
But everything is being registered. They have registered growers. They have registered everything. Everything is watched. That's how they know how many liters per month that they produce and is exported. You can get all those numbers on the website for the CRT, as well as the NOM list. And the NOM list is a list of distilleries that have a number that you find on the label. Every tequila distillery has that number. Every label should have it on either the front or the back, and you look for it. Now, what that denotes is where the tequila is bottled, not necessarily where it's produced.
Right.
Okay.
Because part of the rules are that each distillery can sell bulk 100% Blanco tequila from each other. So just to meet demand. So so one distillery can buy Blanco from somebody else to meet the demand for that celebrity tequila that needs to be on the shelf.
Gotcha.
And so that those are the things.
There's so much.
Yeah, there's a lot. So get the book, whatever.
Get the book.
Yeah, you're
Exactly.
so you know it all, Mike. Though I mean,
love
every
it.
question it was like
I know too much. That's my problem. And I talk too much. I told you we went over.
So for friends of ours, because we have a lot of very good friends that love tequila and love to know about tequila.
Well,
The book.
hey.
What do they do with the book? When they read this book and they take the course, okay, what will happen to them after session 1?
Well, they email it to me. There on the back of the book, there's like a secret website where you go in and you it tells you what your assignment is for that that chapter, and you just go through the chapters. Just go through all the chapters, and then when you're done,
pace.
Yeah, when they send in their homework to me, my emails in the book, and when they're done, however long it takes.
So at the final, they do a tasting with you virtually.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
just like we do on Sipping Off the Cuff. Yeah, that's your final. So
that's awesome.
That's
cool. And we've had some great. We've had a handful of graduates, but we have a lot of people taking the course. Some of them never send in their homework. That's fine too.
Right.
Because not everybody is gonna, like I said, we know that not everybody was gonna get their hands dirty, but if you decide to, that's when there's a lot of much more information you get from me and other avenues, and there's a lot of extra reading that you can do, all kinds of things. There's a treasure trove of info that opens up for you if you decide that's what you want to do. You know, if
we
you decide,
share
Mr. Phelps, that's what
Can
you
we
do.
share this link in it? Where will we put it in the comments?
Yeah, we
or
can
in the,
put your link in the comments for
we'll
the
put your,
Catador
and
course.
then they can just click on it and purchase this book. That
Yeah.
will get them
You
to
You
the
want me to
course.
put it, take them right to Amazon? You want me to do
Yeah,
that?
you can just take them right to Amazon
Okay.
and they
Okay.
can purchase a book.
And what about the magazine?
See, what happens is they send the first assignment is to send their email to me, and then I put them on a master list, and then
Okay.
that's where Lisa will automatically put her into the newsletter, into the magazine.
Okay.
So that happens automatically.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
They don't have to do anything.
Beautiful.
But when they go to the website, if they go to the Tequila Aficionado website, they can sign up for the newsletter right there. It pops up on the screen.
Okay.
So either way, we've got you covered.
That's
All right.
awesome.
You're gonna take this course,
I
right?
am. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta.
I'm very excited about it. Actually.
Except maybe you know what
I-
happens is with your final, I should probably have you fly me out there, or I'll fly you out here.
Yeah.
Either way.
Yeah.
Either way, we'll definitely do.
Wives included.
Plus one.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
plus one.
I always ask one dumb question.
Perfectly fine.
I ask a bunch of them because that's always a fun.
Does he have to know Spanish to pass this first
Well,
course?
see, now here's the thing. That's the beautiful part about the course is that we'll teach you some of the words that there's no other translation for it. Like Catador, the rough translation is sommelier, so you get a rough idea of what that is.
Okay.
Or bourbon steward, or whatever. But yeah, there are certain, like when I say blanco, that means clear. It means white.
Sure.
It means transparent. But in Spanish, plata means silver. So it's probably stuff you already know anyway. If I say agave, that's actually a scientific term. So you'll know what that is. But when I say maguey, that's Spanish. And so, but it'll show up enough in the book that where we'll have in parentheses. It'll tell you that's what this means.
I'm very excited.
Again, we wanted to strip away all that, because outside of going to Mexico and having to take the course in Spanish and knowing Spanish, there is no school in the U.S. There are some online now that you can take, for a cost. Honestly, we were going to make this an online course, and we were to the point where I had voiced everything and videotaped it all, and at the last minute, Lisa said at the end of 2019, she goes, I think this would be better as a book. I said, if you think so, you're kidding me. With all this work, so all this stuff
after you voiced everything,
man.
oh man,
yeah, and it's like, okay,
you still have the tapes. Can you send them to me?
And then right at the tail end of 2019, and son of a gun, by March of 2020. Everything came to a screeching halt, and our books took off. The course took off. Yeah. We didn't stop. We were still always drinking virtually. That never stopped.
Right.
It got more. As a matter of fact, we really increased the amount of content we put out, the amount of submissions that we had. It was in really a kind of strange way. It was a really good thing that happened.
Right.
Like everything else, it's got had a downside.
Sure.
So, but yeah, just however you want to take it. Again, you don't have to do all the work, but if you do, you get much more into it.
Yeah.
Really know the nuts and bolts and get your hands dirty. And you guys, we have a lot of mixologists. We have a lot of bartenders. If you're watching us in Canada, I will tell you that the book or internationally, the book is kind of geared toward the American consumer. So you're going to see our chapters about our unusual 3-tier system. It's the system of distribution that we have to deal with in the United States. And if you're a brand owner, I've had brand owners take my course and they said, geez, I wish I had this book before. I bought into my brand. So, we've been very fortunate. We've had chemical engineers, again, like I said, who love our stuff. I don't think there's one person that's taken our course that hasn't thanked us for putting it out.
That's awesome.
So,
awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So please, by all means, don't be shy.
What I would love to do is I'm going to take the course. What I would love to do is maybe film part of our final exam. That'd be cool.
Oh, that goes without saying. We film. See, we'll film it. We do it over. We do it over. every one of these that we do, we first we were on Skype, but now we're on Zoom. So we record these on Zoom. I mean, we make sure it's okay with you guys.
Sure.
And then we do a 15-minute interview first, so
Okay.
people know who you are.
Yep.
You know, and that's kind of our open bar segment of the show.
Mhm.
And then we do the tasting together, and and we put that out as content. So
Cool.
so yeah, all of our catadores who have completed our course, their videos are out there. The female catadora was amazing. You should watch her stuff. Her name is Araceli.
I think I saw part of that.
She's so good.
Yeah.
But she was good to start with. You know, some of you guys who are watching this on Instagram or you watch this on YouTube, you may know the Austin Tequila Connoisseur. That's Bryce. He does his own stuff already. He took our course. He's one of our, we call him TJs, kind of like you know, when MTV had the VJs.
Yeah.
We have TJs. So we call them tequila jockeys, and it's kind of a throwback to the MTV days. And these guys, I'm telling you, the quality of the people that we're getting to complete the course, their enthusiasm, their curiosity, you know, their open-mindedness. Like I said, our guy Todd Mayville in Colorado, WSET2, Bourbon Steward. You know, we actually have a mezcal tasting journal that Lisa wrote with a famous. He's a tour guide in Oaxaca. He's an expat Canadian who's been there forever.
Oh, wow.
He's actually responsible for helping Brian Cranston and Aaron Paul source their mezcal for Dos Hombres.
Do their business, yeah.
Wow.
And so this guy knows his business.
He knows the stuff.
Yeah.
And so he wrote the mezcal tasting journal with Lisa. That's also available on Amazon, and all the proceeds of that book go to help his community of people that in Oaxaca. He doesn't keep any of the proceeds.
Oh, that's great.
It's all about taking care of his people.
That's great.
Awesome.
And so anyway, Todd's taken that course because he and I have done a couple of mezcals together, and now he's, you know, and he said to me, he said something really eye-opening during our interview. As a matter of fact, he said, Mike, anybody that tells you that they know everything about spirit is lying to you.
Right.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, I totally believe that.
Yeah.
I say that as a salon owner. The day you think you know everything about the styles and the hairs, you might as well hang it up.
Yeah.
Because it changes daily. It changes by the hour.
Well, the tequila industry, what they're doing now, and if I don't stay on top of it, you know, we don't know. We don't know. In fact, the diffuser was being used in 2000, 2001, and nobody knew about it.
Wow.
They were keeping it secret. Nobody knew.
Yeah, because it's embarrassing, really.
Well, no, there's a stigma attached. But what happened was, it wasn't until a group of mixologists were experimenting with this particular brand, they were wondering why it wasn't flavoring their tequila, their drinks, the way it normally did. When they reversed engineer what was going on and started doing the visiting of that distillery, they finally came out and said, we've been using it since 2001 to 2010. They were using it for about 10 years before anybody knew they were using it.
Wow.
So we don't know what kind of technology they got out there now that we don't know anything about. All right. So yeah, we got to stay on top of stuff like that if you care, you know, because ultimately,
well, you got to care what's in your bottle.
Yeah.
And what you're drinking.
You guys, every time you guys put out a video, you're teaching your followers how to make this. They can make it at home. It's easy. It's simple. You've got a whole list of ingredients. You don't hesitate to make it. And it's the same thing with anything we do. I always said that what I do is infotainment. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's always information in a entertaining way. Because, you know, Matt, nobody learns until you teach them with humor. And if anybody knows that, you do. So
we appreciate that.
And so, you know, that's how we've always done it. So, you know, and like anybody says, we're not saving lives, we're just selling tequila.
Absolutely,
so
yeah. We're not splitting the atom.
If I want to take this course, if I want to take this course along with my husband, just to prove to him that I might be able to do better than him.
Well, we've got, you know, it's okay. I know. Believe me, we've allowed a lot of couples to take this course together.
So I guess my question would be, because you said there's certain codes and stuff, do we each buy our own separate book?
No, the
Okay.
code is the same.
Okay.
You don't have to buy a separate book. No.
Okay.
Unless you want one, to have handy.
Sure.
Well, he's got his on Kindle,
Yeah.
or downloaded. So you may want to have an extra one. I don't know.
I'm a hard copy girl. I gotta read it.
Yeah, you might want to. You want the hard copy.
Okay.
However you want to do it, that it's very flexible.
Okay.
To the right now, we still don't have the audio and video version of the online course. I may have to revoice everything that I did, which
Oh, geez.
there's a lot of work. But there was a sound glitch.
Oh, shoot.
Oh, no.
We know how that is.
Yeah, and
No
so
good.
when I can get some studio time or just be able to do it again,
Okay.
we do want to put that out because we've had one or two people ask us, do you have an audio version or a video version that I can buy?
Yeah,
and I
'cause
would
people
love
drive a lot and everything.
I really would like to do that because we have people that somehow they're impaired one way or the other, or they're driving. They want to listen to what's going on.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's him.
Just like that. Yeah.
He's in his car all the time, so
Yeah,
he listen.
I know. I used to do the same thing. You travel 2 or 3 hours outside of town because that's where your territory is.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, I get it. I understand it, and I do want to make that available sooner than later.
Sure.
I have friends in the radio business. As soon as I would like to get some studio time to do it.
Yeah.
But we'll see. It's in the future. But for right now, you can own it. You can highlight it. You can
That's right.
scribble it, circle it.
Absolutely.
I'm a book girl, so that works for me.
Right, and we do have couples taking it together. But be aware, if you're going to take it together, you're both doing a final.
Oh yeah.
And the way this is going to work, you're not doing the final together.
No. And I'm really, Mike, I'm really competitive.
No.
I'm extremely competitive.
I never would have guessed that with you.
Shocker.
I had to drag your questions out of her because
Oh my God.
Oh God.
But
Mike, now you're part of the family. You have no choice.
At this point, and you've had a couple of drinks, so so have I. But it doesn't. It takes coffee to loosen me up. That's basically.
Me too.
So, but however it works for you guys, we have a couple of RVers who are taking our course together. They kind of have had to take a hiatus, but they're very competitive with each other, and
cool.
It's funny to see how when they turn in their homework, how the husbands or wives' homework differs from the other.
Yeah.
And how much influence one spouse has over the other, or not.
Right.
It's really fun for me because it allows me to get into your head, or or inside your relationships. Weird. It's weird. I do a lot. I do a lot.
Oh, you're gonna quit after you get inside ours.
I don't want to be here. But what happens is when you do a lot of editing, like for our profiles books, we have 5 questions that we ask brand owners, marketing people, same 5 questions, whether they're English or Spanish. We haven't translated in both, but every answer is different, and every way that somebody responds is differently, whether it's in English or Spanish. And so sometimes, I've got to do a translation, but even when I do the translation, it allows me to get inside that person's thinking process. And every editor will tell you this, that you kind of see where they're coming from, and so and now that I've done a few of these exercises with couples, I kind of see where the couples are coming from and why one spouse kind of the palette is geared in one direction and one spouse is geared to another direction, and one would be more detail oriented than the other. It's kind of fun to get to see where, and then for me, it's to try and get them in a somewhere in the middle, so where there's a nice compromise for the two of them, so that one isn't lagging behind the other.
Gotcha.
Right.
Because everybody learns differently. I know that.
Sure.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So,
Sure.
and not everybody's gonna get the math correctly. Not everybody's gonna
Right.
do the same, but just keep going. Because
Yep.
the neat thing is, I love to see the progression of our students from the beginning when they started to the end when they graduate, because you can see it in the answers that they write back to me. Oh, Mike, I didn't know that this and the other, and it's gratifying for us to see them improve
Yeah.
on where they first started, and it's like, oh man, and then because in the back of your head you're always going, geez, Mike, who's going to pay attention to this? Did I do the right thing? You know what I mean? It's like, and we did it right. And just from the responses that we're getting from the students that have taken the course and submitted their homework, they're getting it. Their message is coming across.
So cool.
They're improving. I mean, you saw how quickly it was for you guys, and we just did a
little small tasting.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And
so informative.
I know I can't be there in front of everybody. I can't. I just physically can't do it.
Right.
But whenever I get a chance to do that, I want to. That's why I'm doing more and more of these interviews, because I just never know where it's going to lead and who's going to, where my message is going to go, where it's going to land.
Yeah.
So thank you for buying the course and taking it. And I look forward to working with you.
Yeah.
And
I'm very excited about it.
Everybody who's submitting it comes from all different walks of life. Some of them are distributors, some of them own brands, some of them are Canadian, some of them are from other countries, and each question, each person brings us a separate set of circumstances that I have to help them deal with. So, like the availability of tequila.
Right.
Yeah, because I mean, some brands might not be available in our area.
Exactly. Right. And you get those questions, and the big question we always get is like, what does agave smell like? What does it taste like?
Yeah.
That's the biggest question, because other than going to a distillery, that's the one thing I can't physically do is take you there. One day you might go if you haven't been already.
Right.
Not yet, but I would love to.
Sometimes distributors get there's these fam trips that they can go to.
Yeah, usually,
Yeah, but because of pandemic, a lot of that was put to sleep.
Oh, everything was put on hold.
Everything was
shelved. We were supposed to go to Jameson, and that got kiboshed.
Yeah, see, so so other than that, and it's illegal for me to import anything, agave from outside of Mexico.
Yeah.
To have to bake the agave, to have you taste it. So I have to figure out creative ways to give you some idea and how to imprint that into your olfactory senses, into your data bank.
Right.
Because that's what we just did.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Whenever you cook, if you cook, and Matt, you cook, and if you don't use a recipe, if you're just one of those hands-on guys, everything is done with your heart. You measure stuff with your, like tequila. You don't ever measure that stuff with a jigger. You measure that with your heart, man. And so, and if you're that kind of person, that's how you learn. And you'll see when you go through the exercises. We have an aroma wheel. People don't even know that a tequila aroma wheel exists.
Yeah.
And it tells you where those aromas that you're getting, that you're pulling out, where they come from in the process.
Right.
See?
Some can come from the agave itself. Some can come from the barrel, or
Some of them come from distillation. Some of them come from the water. There's all kinds of stuff that you're not aware of it. And the only way you can become aware of it is by not shooting it. You got to look at those three elements: sight, smell, and then taste. And if you do that, you'll be able to reverse engineer everything.
Yeah.
And then if you're good enough, if you do enough of these, you'll go, okay, this doesn't taste right. This doesn't taste natural. How come?
Yeah.
See what I mean? You start asking yourselves those questions, and it's just like what you did with the water and the super juice. Same thing.
Yeah.
And again, not every student's going to do that. And we knew that. That's okay. That's all right.
Right.
If there's something that you get from it, great.
Yeah.
Like I say, the quality, the caliber of the people that have taken this course, I'm surprised. I'm baffled and humbled.
Yeah.
That we have guys who consider themselves connoisseurs, who are doing their own stuff already on Instagram or Facebook, and have taken our course. And like I said, not one of them has not come away learning something and
Oh
thanking us
yeah,
for putting
I
it out.
100% agree with it. It's one of those things where even even though I've been in the business as long as I have and sat through seminars and done, tests and there's still so much out there. The variables are exponential. I mean, it's like I was saying about the Cabernets from Napa Valley. One's $300, the other one's $50, and the only thing that separates them is the fence. Well, it's not just a fence; it's the winemaker, it's the oak they're using, it's when they're pulling the cab, it's when are they
Right.
night harvesting, they day harvesting. I mean, there's so many variables, and that's where cost comes into as well.
Yeah,
And people
yeah,
have
exactly.
no idea, like why is this one $50 and that one's 25? Well, it all
Yeah,
depends.
here's why. Yeah,
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So see that, you knowing that information, this won't surprise you. The stuff you'll learn from in here, you'll very much relate it to what's going on in the wine industry or mezcal industry. And anything that Patty doesn't get, she can always refer back to you because you kind of get it already.
Right.
Yeah.
You've got.
Right.
I honestly, I love talking to wine people. When I do a tasting, or whether it's virtual or I do one in person, which I haven't done a lot of. Lately we're coming out of the pandemic.
Sure.
But in the past I've done them a lot, and I love talking to wine people because they get it. They understand the differences and the nuances. They know what to pull out.
Oh, yeah.
They have a base for a bar to measure what they're going to learn when they start tasting,
As well as flavors too.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
Everything all right. So I've always said this too is whatever you've experienced in your life is in here. So if you've only eaten roast beef and potatoes and never touched a vegetable or fruit, well, you're gonna miss a lot because your brain's gonna go, what is that? And there's no association point,
Well,
and
we were talking about earlier about alcohol. A lot of people, what happens is when they talk about tequila, and I'll see it in the copy, the stuff the stuff that were sent from PR companies. It's just lazy writing, oh my God, there's one right now. I can't believe that they're marketing it this way. Experience the smooth and forget the burn. It's
Wow.
like they finally gave up trying to help people,
my
and they
God.
just said, you know what? We'll just use those words because there's two words. There are two words. I've had master distillers and brand owners tell me there are two words that never belong in the same sentence: smooth and tequila.
Yes.
You don't put them in the same
Oh, I
sentence.
might have said that
You did
earlier.
earlier, but that's all right.
But here's the thing: what happens is people don't have the descriptors. They haven't yet, like you said, Matt. They haven't learned yet how
Right.
to verbalize what they're tasting.
Right.
They only know smooth and burn.
Right.
But once you know the nuances, you won't go smooth. You'll go, wait a minute, this is like velvet. Wow, this is velvety. All right.
Yeah.
That burn
Yeah.
is known as a finish.
Yeah.
And you look
Yeah.
for some finishes are very short.
Yep.
I remember there was one organic tequila when it first came on the market. It was famous because it was no finish. That's how they distilled it. And it was like great during the vodka trend.
Oh,
So
sure.
it was actively competing with vodka because vodka's got no burn.
Right.
Vodka's got nothing. It's just nothing. It's just air,
Huh.
And so yeah. So you personally, I like a finish. I like something that's going to take me by the
Sure.
collar. I'm here. It tells you that they're here. That's why people enjoy mezcals too, and mezcals have become so much more sophisticated and so much more. You look at these people out in the hills and they wear dungarees. They literally look like moonshiners because
Right.
at one
Kind of
time,
are. Yeah.
one time during their own prohibitions, that's why they were in the hills because it was prohibited and they look like moonshiners. But the stuff that they're producing, it's elegant. It's so sophisticated and there's
And it's so different from town to town too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From town to town, from
person to
microclimate to microclimate. Yeah.
Yeah.
And from the hand of the maker as well.
Yeah.
Plant to all those variables
Yeah, I've had some Delmagay where,
Yeah.
their flagship is Vita, obviously, but some of the Chichicapa and the
Oh, the
Los
San Luis del
Rios, and
Rio.
I mean, you're like, whoa, totally different. Yeah,
Yeah. And he was the first one to make that known to the rest of the world that this is the Napa
yeah,
of the agave spirits
yeah,
industry right here.
Right.
yeah. And I
But
love the fact that it's in a traditional bottle too.
yeah, it's not a big fancy bottle,
Yeah,
but you're paying for a quality juice.
yeah,
He was one of the
Right.
first ones to take care of his communities and his people.
yeah, and that's what's cool too.
Yeah, Ron, you can't say enough about him.
Yeah.
He's just he. When Ron walks into the room, you shut up and I start taking notes. I just
Love it, love it.
because that's who he is.
Yeah.
But
That's
anyway, anything else that we want to talk about while we're
Yeah.
at it? Because I know we're like at hour 3.
Yeah, really. Well, listen, I know I gotta tell you, I really appreciate everything that
Oh,
you've given
yeah.
us for information today, and I knew I was in for some great information just
Yeah.
watching your videos, and I truly appreciate everything you do for tequila, and I over the last probably 5 years have become a tequila lover, so I truly appreciate that, and like I said, I can't wait to start the Catador course, and definitely gonna. I want to learn more. That's for sure.
That
Yep.
and that's you know what? That's all we ask for out of a student. You
Yeah,
know,
Yep.
maybe you don't get all the skills right, not right now. Maybe it's going to take you some time. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Just be open. If you want to
Yeah.
learn, that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
because
awesome.
and we're gonna you're gonna have a good time learning about it, and then
Absolutely.
when you're done, please do your friends a favor and
Yeah.
teach them the right way. You
Yeah.
know,
Yep.
because there's so much misinformation and disinformation that's going on out there, and not just from influencers, from brand owners, copywriters, PR companies,
Yeah.
ad campaigns. I mean, it's everywhere
Yeah.
because we're now in an area of social.
Information age. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be right information either.
no,
Yeah.
that story about 5 to 7 years. That depends on who the grower is, because
Sure.
that
Yeah.
ain't happening very often these days.
Yeah.
But
Right.
but you'll learn that.
Yeah.
If you're curious enough, you're going to do well. That's
Awesome.
all I'm going to say
Awesome.
about that. You've already got a baseline. You are who you are. You work for who you work for. You guys have this vast bar, in your home. So you're like
That's not even the tequila section. The tequila section's over
on
there.
that wall.
on that wall. Yeah, okay.
There.
Mine's on my living room floor because
Yeah.
I've got a storage unit out under my patio.
Awesome.
It's just again, all we ask is open mind, and then tell us
Absolutely.
what you really think too.
Sure.
Don't
Yep.
be afraid.
Yep.
Don't be afraid to say you don't like it.
Well, no, that in the fact that we're always trying to improve on this. We want to make sure we add more to it when we come up with
Yeah.
newer additions.
No, what I mean is don't be afraid to say you don't like that specific tequila. You know what I mean? It's like,
Oh yeah, no,
that's why they make all different types. It's
yeah,
not,
and if you like that tequila, that's cool too. I mean, it's your money. You
sure.
whatever.
Right.
But you don't ask me to lie to you. Don't ask me to pull the roll.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
At least if you're still going to buy that tequila, you'll know why you like it.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
You'll
right,
know that,
right.
that your palate leans toward you have a sweet tooth. I get it. We're
Sure.
Americans. That's where we all lean toward.
Yep.
But
Right.
we see a lot of cross pollination, a lot of crossover. We see
Yeah.
bourbon guys who go in first at the añejo, and they stick there for a while, and they go, well, what else am I missing? And they start, experimenting with reposados, and then one day they'll go, you know what? I hear a lot of things about ocho blanco. I'm going to try that ocho, and they're in love with the blancos.
Yeah.
And then you see the reverse. You see vodka people, and I only love blancos. I can't stand it. I have a student that said to me, I don't like anything barreled. I it's just not me but in this course, you're going to be doing a flight of an aged expression. So even
Cool.
if you don't like it, you'll know why.
Right.
Or,
You'll appreciate it for what it is.
exactly.
Nice.
Yeah.
Or you might learn that you'll go, you know, I think I could get used to that reposado. I might not like añejos all that much, but you know that añejo expressions, I think, or reposado expressions, I might just get off on that. You know.
Yeah.
So whatever. You
Yeah.
know, that's why there's that's why they
there's
got
hundreds of
Cristalinos
them.
now
Yeah.
too. You know, Cristalinos
Absolutely.
would probably be a good gateway but that's not how it's priced. It's not priced as a gateway. It's priced as somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
Right.
That's just a trend. That's a trendy thing that eventually I think it will be a full blown expression because there's more and more brands doing it.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Awesome.
but
We'll make sure we put everything in the comments. Right?
Absolutely, yeah.
The book.
Yeah,
the
we'll
art,
put your
yep.
links in the comments, and
thank you.
like we said, Mike, we can't thank you enough.
Oh,
We truly appreciate your time and your expertise. And listen, it's just scratching the surface. So
Yeah.
go out there,
For
get
real.
yourself the Catador book, and he's going to show it to you right here.
Woo.
Consumer Catador course. You are going to love it, and join me.
And we're
Why
gonna
not?
do it.
Yeah,
So anybody.
I
that
look
wants
forward to working with you guys, and then
absolutely.
when we get to wait till we get to the final, folks, this will be fun.
Yeah.
And thank you for for having me on your show and for
Oh yeah,
talking your
You're
ears
honored.
and all
Absolutely
that.
honored.
But it was
Oh,
fun.
it's our pleasure.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Thank you so much. I
Yep.
appreciate it.
Yes.
Yep.
And hey, maybe
Thanks,
we'll have a
Mike.
cocktail one of these days together. So
You know,
same
will.
room.
I'm due for a trip to the Finger Lakes, so
Yeah,
who
listen,
knows?
let
There
us
you
know.
go.
We'll
Let
we'll
us
meet up with
know.
you.
We will-
Absolutely.
we
One of
will
our
definitely
tasters lives in
meet you there.
Rochester, so
Oh, perfect.
yeah.
Nice.
So
Not too far from here. So yeah.
it's not too far from there. So
Yeah.
we might just all meet again in a real bar somewhere.
I love it.
I'll come with super juice in hand.
Yeah, hey, that's I'll bring the glassware. I don't know.
Beautiful. I love it. I love it.
Perfect.
Again,
Thank you,
thanks
folks.
so
Thank
much,
you very
ladies
much
and
for
gentlemen,
having
Michael
me.
Morales.
I
We
appreciate it.
appreciate your time.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you.
Have a good evening, sir. And
You
we'll be
too.
seeing
Thank you for all your time.
We'll be
You
seeing
got it.
very,
Thank you very
soon.
much.
Okay. Talk to you
Thanks, Mike.
soon.
Bye bye.
You bet. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, I got to tell you, I'm excited to take this course.
Oh my God, I can't
And,
wait. I
you know,
am
and
gonna
the thing
kick
is-
your butt.
I listen, you'll be asleep halfway through the page
Whatever.
because you can't keep yourself awake.
How much awesome information was that?
You know, the thing is like I said, I've been fed stuff over the years, and you become, you believe it, and listen, there's so much more to it than meets the eye, and I can't wait to check it out more. Anyway, folks,
Oh,
that's our show for tonight. We can't thank you enough for sticking with us. Check us out on Instagram, the YouTubes, Facebook, Spotify, and we will see you later.
thanks for watching.
Cheers.